kwa mtu.
Elsewhere, police in Laikipia County are investigating the brutal murder of an elderly woman at her home in Gatundia town by unknown assailants. The deceased Lucy Wanjiru Ndungu's mutilated body was discovered by her husband Wilson Ndungu.
Tuna uhakika kwamba watatufikia, Mungu atawasaidia wafikie hawa wahalifu, na Mungu ndiye tunaomba na ndiye tunategemea.
And Uasin Gishu County Government has received a medical supplies consignment from the Kenya Medical Services Authority that will help address shortage of drugs and enhance services in the healthcare facilities in the county.
I want to assure you that whatever we are doing for the people of Uasin Gishu and for the glory of God. Do you have an idea that we are coming up with a diagnosis center here and you have put 200 million to start off? Just here, about 200 million.
Finally, Laikipia County Governor Joshua Irungu has pledged to improve healthcare services in the county. Governor Irungu was speaking after visiting the Nyahururu County and Referral Hospital's maternity wing, where he also donated New Year gifts to mothers who delivered at the facility.
Kina mama wanaongezeka, hata ingawa tulitoka kwa 30 capacity na sasa tumekuja 60 hapa, but lakini bado tunaona it is 100 plus occupancy. Ni kwa sababu services, huduma ni mzuri, na kwa hivyo tunaambia tu akina mama bado waendelee na kukuja, nasi kama serikali tunaendelea na kufanya kuongezea services kule kwingine.
Elsewhere, the Kenya Leather Industrial Park in Kenani, Machakos County, which is nearing completion, is set to be officially commissioned in March this year. Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki, while inspecting the ongoing works at the plant, said electricity and water connections, as well as a deployment of permanent policing services, are being expedited to meet the deadline.
Kenya targets to leverage the leather industry to create over 100,000 jobs. Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki says the government is establishing the Kenya Leather Industrial Park in Kenani, Machakos County as one of the interventions for value addition in manufacturing to push up the annual contribution of the leather industry from the current 15 billion shillings to 175 billion shillings.
If we are able to adjust the production and marketing of the hides and skins of our cattle, we can inject fresh resources into our economy.
The Kenya Leather Industrial Park is scheduled for completion in March this year. Professor Kindiki says final touches are being done to ensure the project is completed within the set deadlines.
His Excellency the President directed that this facility be ready by 31st of March this year. We are trying our best, the various state departments and ministries, because there is a Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development, but also the Ministry of Investment, Promotion, Trade and Industry. And we are working hard to make sure that we deliver.
So far, he says a common user facility of effluent treatment plants to treat water for manufacturing leather is already complete. The effluent treatment plant will clean effluent from the EPZ factories on Mombasa Road and Athi River, and from the leather factories based at the Kenya Leather Industrial Park. The leather industry accounts for 1.5% of Kenya's gross domestic product.
The Capital Markets Authority has granted listed companies a one-year extension to comply with Capital Markets Public Offers Listings and Disclosures Regulations of 2023 in relation to the appointment of independent directors and non-executive directors. The Capital Markets Authority says the decision is in recognition that adjusting board composition to align with the updated requirements is a time-sensitive process requiring careful planning to maintain continuity and avoid disruptions to strategic initiatives.
The Capital Markets Public Offers Listings and Disclosures Regulations of 2023, which came into effect on 15th December 2023, revised definitions for independent directors and non-executive directors, impacting the compliance status for listed companies, new listings and initial public offers and persons offering or marketing securities to the public in Kenya. However, compliance has been slow, with the listed companies individually applying to the Capital Markets Authority for compliance extensions. In its latest report on the state of corporate governance practices of issuers of securities to the public in Kenya 2024, the Capital Markets Authority says it has offered listed companies a one-year extension to comply with the updated requirements. The Capital Markets Authority says the revisions were informed by the need to mitigate risks associated with director entrenchment and foster a culture of accountability with boardrooms. Here, directors are continuously motivated to challenge the status quo and uphold the highest standards of corporate governance.
A quick look at what is happening in the world of sports, where Harambee Stars will be hunting for their first win in the Mapinduzi Cup when they take on Kilimanjaro Stars in their second game tomorrow in Zanzibar. Stars played to a 1-1 draw with Burkina Faso in their first game on Saturday.
The Stars have been boosted by the arrival of Gor Mahia's Austin Odhiambo, Sylvester Owino, Alfonso Mija and Rooney Onyango ahead of their second game against Kilimanjaro Stars. According to head coach Francis Kimanzi, the team is optimistic to make a podium finish as they eye to shine the forthcoming CHAN tournament, which will be co-hosted by Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania in February.
We are very positive about them. We are encouraging them more. We know that they need to improve a lot, on controlling their emotional excitement, within the game when they are leading, because I believe also the next match they are capable of scoring. So it's only about how do we manage the game when we score.
Stars are using the Mapinduzi Cup tournament as a curtain raiser for the coming continental assignment.
The most important thing is for us to know that competition kama hizi, if we continue working hard and being smart also, we can move forward as a team.
The Kenya national under-19 cricket team, the Kenya Power Hitters, were crowned champions of the under-19 T20 Cricket Championship after beating Indian Blasters by 63 runs in the final played last evening in Noida, India. In a thrilling final, the Kenya Power Hitters posted a solid score of 195 runs for 5 in their allocated 20 overs. Kenya then restricted Indian Blasters to 132 runs, all out in 17.3 overs, taking the title by an impressive 63 runs. A total of 6 teams took part in the tournament, which began on Monday last week. The other teams in the tournament were Sri Lanka Lions, Nepal Everest Eagles, Indian Stars and the Barbados Select. And now you're up to date. Do join us in our subsequent bulletins. We need to take a short commercial break, but don't go too far. My colleague Mike Mwigwi is up next with a thought-provoking conversation, including the recent released abductees, as well as a quick look at what is happening in the land of politics. So don't go too far for those conversations.
Mr. Sergeant, I know you are not the one to say no to easy and quick money.
Me say no to easy and quick money? Really? Never.
I moved to a new house. Hey, OMG. And the balcony view. Hey, another OMG.
Butterfly. But in fact, get ready. We are going for swimming in a very few minutes.
Never be the same by your strength. tell you this vibe, this lovely vibe, this is the vibe on the beach side.
Why you worry? Why you worry? Worry is unnecessary.
Child, they are heroes. That is why children are living. Chica, I'm walking, I'm talking, I'm moving the positive vibe.
Stop by my face. You only come around to do fake things. Your little bad mind face.
Indeed, you're watching a Good Morning Kenya. Welcome to the first segment of the second segment of the news. My name is Mike Migu. This is People and Politics. And already in studio, my guests are here. On my far left is Wakili Ishmael Nyaribo, who is a constitutional lawyer. Karibu sana to the program.
Thank you.
And also on my immediate left is Omao Thomas, who is a political analyst. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, and we are going to talk about a few things, but let's look at what is making headlines in our local dailies. And I will start with the Daily Nation. This is the headline splash on the front page. Released by whom? After more than 6 months since a spike in enforced disappearances, with at least 6 young Kenyans abducted in December alone, the DCI have little to show in terms of investigation. 5 of them were released yesterday in a seemingly coordinated manner in locations across the country, weeks after Police Chief Douglas Kanja said his officers have nothing to do with the kidnappings. Questions linger on the squads operating with impunity and precision. But who are they? Wakili Nyaribo, I want to get your sentiments on all this. What is your take on this? Released by whom? Who is abducting Kenya?
Well, maybe the Inspector General of Police has said yes, he has not abducted them and he has not released them. And there is absolutely no reason to doubt him because he's come on air and he has said he doesn't do it. And the Minister for Security has also, at least the incoming Minister for Security has also said the government is not abducting people. Now, then Head of State has come up and said, I will ensure that these abductions stop. So I think we are left to our own logic to conclude who could be abducting them. I want you to appreciate one thing, Migwi, for your viewers, that there is something we call national security, which is in charge of ensuring that our borders are extremely safe and ensuring that the government or the state is not interfered with. And there is a law, both the Constitution and an Act of Parliament empower the country's security organs to ensure that we are protected. When you and me are asleep, by the way, there is somebody hovering around us and over us and all the time, apart from God, to ensure that the borders of this country are safe. So there are certain things they do to ensure that that safety is not tampered with. We may go with populism sometimes, but the reality of the matter is that keeping the borders safe will go through several means, sometimes not things that we, can be mentioned on air. But I know now people start concluding, what are you saying? What I'm saying is that the country is at liberty to use any means available to ensure that Kenya is safe. But now coming here to talk about these abductions that are actually more local than keeping our borders safe. These abductions, they are happening, and it is true. And the trend in Kenya is, you can, for example, I want to remind you, there were certain foreigners who were abducted in the middle of town, and they were then taken to Turkey. And the people protested a lot, and there was pressure. And the PS for Internal Security came up and said, no, we agreed these people to be taken back to their home country because we have a relationship with that other country, and we didn't want, to sever our relationship because of the 4 or 5 people. So they were taken away. The manner in which they were taken out of town is the same manner that is applied to abduct these young people in the country. Now, when you ask who is abducting them, if men are coming, they are hooded and they are brandishing heavy weapons, honestly, you remember the government some 3-4 years ago mopped all weapons in the country, registered each firearm being held by who, renumbered, government weapons, and the government is fully aware which weapon is where. So when we are being told that there were hooded men and heavily armed, that is just a decoy. The truth of the matter is that an arm of government knows that so-and-so today will be picked from his home or school or office, and he will be taken somewhere. Once he's been taken somewhere, then they do what they have to do. I will tell you for free that if government as such abducts a person, by the way, chances of that person being killed or dying are 0. If the government abducts a person because of fear of internal security, they will take them through a lot of questioning, and once they realize that this person is not a threat to national security, he is simply blogging and just expressing himself in an awkward manner, that mostly that person will actually be released. But the problem is not that, Migwi. The problem is that criminal elements who are always at work will always come in between government operations. And this has been confirmed. You remember during the parliament invasion, they said there was a honest Gen Z protest, but certain people came in, of course, to take advantage. And this never stops because criminals don't take leave. They never go on holiday. They are always looking for a chance to act. So I think what the Minister for Security, the President, and the government machinery should come out and say is there are certain people we are interested in. We will always have to arrest them. What I think Kenyans are not happy about is the method the government is using to actually take in suspects. Why are you coming to people hooded? You are a government. I am unarmed. You just come to the house, you knock, you say, I am the police officer, this is the OCS for the area, my name is so-and-so, you know me, open the window, see, this is me, come out. People will come out. But now you're coming hooded. Why are they hooded? Because they are not coming from the normal police line.
So they are operating outside police.
They are not coming under the normal police line. That's why the Inspector General of Police is saying, I am not aware. The rule in the police ranks is when you are going to Kibera, for example, you must inform Kibra OCS. When you are going to Mudangari, you must inform the OCS. But these people operate differently because their mandate, by the way, is under a different act of parliament. And therefore they...
Which act of parliament?
Well, if you look at, I don't think I have permission and the leave to mention, the security operations because I'm not even privy to how they operate. But I am sure, apart from the National Police Service, we have the intelligence in the military, we have the National Intelligence Social Service, NIS. It has an act of parliament that mandates them to operate in a certain way to protect the borders and the security of the country. So,
but this is not protecting the borders. This is about
agreeable, and I have said that
the government.
Definitely, yes, I agree with you, and that's why I said there are people who operate on a certain premise simply to perpetrate crime.
But why not arrest them and charge them in a court of law?
It's what I'm wondering, Migwi. So I've asked the same question because if a young person like me is drawing caricatures, like they are showing the president is, every human being will die. So a person decides to depict the president in a certain manner. That should not annoy anybody so much.
Omao, I want to get your sentiments on this, and also in terms of being genuine. How genuine is the police in all this?
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Whereas I like to respect the opinion of my brother, I like to slightly differ. And this is my point of divergency.
Yes.
You see, we have a head of state who has come to the public and accepted that abductions are happening on a daily basis. And as the head of state, he has promised us that he's going to do anything within his capacity as the head of state to ensure that these abductions come to an end. Mike, you see, abductions, when we try to have a look at abductions at a global stage, and even in our neighbor here, Uganda, this is actually a strategy that is being used by governments to silence dissidents. I can give an example in Uganda. Abductions happen on a daily basis, and you realize that it's not anyone who is abducted. Majority of the abductees are the government dissidents. So my point of divergence with Wakili is that the president and the government, they normally receive intelligence briefings about the happenings in the country. For example, what happened when the president was in Kisumu? He said that as the head of state, he is very, very much aware about these abductions. He is very, very much aware about the disappearance of young children. And as the head of state, he is going to do anything within his capacity to make sure that these abductions come to an end. Now, the only challenge that we have, Mike, as a country is that we have those who surround the president, and they don't like to tell the president the truth. And for example, we saw a government figurehead, and he told us that there are no abductions in the country, that there are some people who are abducting themselves. But now this is the fundamental question that we need to ask ourselves, Mike. Can someone abduct him or herself, then he goes missing? In fact, others even get killed. You know, we are in a country whereby we have seen killings, Mike. You know, this is not something that we need to joke about. So that's why we used to have Professor Walpafozo Kadigibo. This was a Nigerian, the president of the Nigerian Senate. He once said that if you cannot stay by the truth, for the truth, then even your exposure becomes useless. You see, we have leaders around the president who I can say is about sycophancy. They are very, very much sycophantic to the president, and they don't tell him the truth. And the reality of the matter is, these abductions are happening on a daily basis, and we cannot shy away from that.
You know, he has said something about, we've seen leaders saying that some people are even self-abducting. But then again, you reflect on it and wonder, are we having a big man syndrome that is developing around the leaders that are close to power?
Well, I like that point. I've always said about it that the people advising the president are actually always very wrong, and many of them at least, you know, and those in economics, you know, political, and also now in security. But the worst thing you can ever do is to mislead the president on national security. Of course, at least you should say the truth, and then you can go around it politically, but you should say the truth that, hey, it's our men who are abducting our people, and they are taking them here and there. And I can tell you for free that the president is fully briefed on that, how these abductions are happening, and where the children or the youth are being taken. The president is aware. He's been briefed. You cannot go around it because there's a National Security Council that advises the president. Then there is the IG. Then there is the NIS, then there is the CID, then there is the military itself, you know, and when you talk about military intelligence, they can never compromise their integrity. At least Kenyan history about the Kenyan military, they will never ever compromise. They cannot be involved in such. But in terms of protecting our borders, the government is allowed to do whatever they can do to ensure that the country is not compromised. That one will be agreed by everyone across the board. If there are bad elements, like they are trying to say, I saw in the paper, that there is some Indian who is trying to harvest some whatever.
I'm told your mic has a problem, but I'll engage you, Bwana Omao. And what do you think? Are we seeing a cropping up of the big man syndrome around people close to the president? Are they telling him the truth, or are they doing whatever they are doing for political expediency?
You know, Mike, what I can say is that it's either the president has advisors around him,
yes,
and it's either the president is not the one heeding to this advice. Because when a leader goes to the national television and to the public and says that we don't have abductions, yet in the real sense, we are seeing killings, we are seeing young people missing. So it basically implies that the people around the president are either shying away from telling him the truth, or the president is the one who is not taking this advice. But this is something that we cannot shy away as a country. So these are the things that are happening on a daily basis. And as I've told you, abductions are just but strategies, one of the fundamental strategies that the government uses to silence the dissidents. But at the long run, what image is this going to create to the government of the day? You see, for example, William Ruto will be seen as a dictator who brooks no dissident if he continues these abductions. So I think it's a high time that our president is just told the reality on the ground. It's a high time that the president is told that I think instead of abducting these young kids, there's a way that this can be approached. You see, we have a judicial system, we have a legal system, we have a judiciary, very capable. Why can these people be arrested, arraigned in court, and even charged if at all they have wronged Mike?
It's the same question I've asked to Wakili.
You see, sorry, before we went off, actually this is very correct, but remember, this is Kenya, this is not Tanzania, this is not Uganda. We've come a long way. Uganda fought one war, the NRM and the people in the bush and all that, and the rebels. We have fought many small wars, but they may not be bush wars. We've been fighting constitutional and law amendments to ensure we are where we are. So if the head of state hopes to silence critics, that is quite an impossibility. You can see how many now young people have been released. These are four.
These are 1, 2, 3, 4, yes.
They were released because of pressure. That is the truth. Today we have a court case. Today, I think we have same case that is being mentioned in Milimani law courts. These issues we are more enlightened than any other economy around here in Africa. So no one is going to, forget this, Oscar Sudi going there and saying, oh, if I was Minister for Internal Security, I would do this. That's okay. I mean, you can say what you want to say as a politician before a microphone, but the truth is Kenyans have moved a certain. I cannot make you 15 years old, Migwi, today. I can never, whether I try. So we have grown to this stature. And the head of state in Kenya today will never be head of state, at least after 7 years from today. And 7 years is just a small time. You were born today, you are not even through primary school. So our country has been built on democracies, and people have actually shed their blood so that we can have a more democratic space. That's why we talk like this.
But what is the place of tolerance in all this?
Well, I will tell you. If your grandmother gave you some attitude and your mom also perpetuated it, we cannot remove it from you. There is a way you think. You may not be a tolerant person because that's your DNA. But the rules, look at how courts are every other time objecting and declining to approve certain projects of the president and of the Kenya Kwanza regime. So even if you want to take people in a certain direction, the people might refuse and say, no, we don't want to go that direction. You see, at the end, you must do what the people actually want. So there'll be a bit of friction here and there. So whether you are willing to be tolerant or not, if you are tolerant, by the way, in a democracy, then you get it right. Because people will work with you, people, will support you, people participation, public participation, you will implement all the projects you want. But the moment you are using force and self-dreams, your own dreams, and you want to impose them on people, the people will not come with you. And that's really normal. In 10 years, this Kenya Kwanza regime then will go. The hope is that they will try to ensure they fix somebody so that, again, their projects can go on. But I think Kenyans have seen that, though my fear is we don't have an alternative. It looks like, of course, you informed me you will discuss about 2027, but looks like we don't have an alternative to actually strongly oppose William Ruto's strategies. But in the meantime, tolerance is important in any democracy. Agreeing with people is very important in a democracy.
But what happens in the case where people are expressing themselves in the manner in which they are expressing themselves, then all of a sudden they start disappearing one by one?
No, that should not be allowed, Mike. I think we have come a long way. We will challenge all these issues in court. We will challenge them in public podiums, in social media. We will continue to say this is the right thing to do. The wrong things cannot be allowed to thrive in this age in time.
Okay, the issue of abductions is the same one that is captured on the front page of the Standard newspaper. They are saying queries as captivity horror tales emerge, dumbstruck and traumatized. 5 young Kenyans freed after a terrifying nearly 2 weeks in captivity received an emotional reunion with their families, but questions abound over who kidnapped them, where they were locked up, and whereabouts of other missing youth. Omao, government has machinery. But then the question that comes, how can the government not know who is abducting these people?
Well, that's why I said that I think we'll be lying to ourselves and also to our viewers if we say that the government, with all its intelligence, is not aware about these abductions in the country. We'll be lying to ourselves, Mike. And the fundamental and main reason that I've given you is that, even you as a person, you will not be okay, or you will not just be comfortable around someone who is against you in always whatever that you are doing. So here is the government of the day that is trying to implement its policies, and we have critics turning the government left, right, and center, saying that whatever you are doing is not right. When you come with the housing project, we have dissidents. When you come with some good laws, there are people who are always against that. So I think this is one of the strategies, but I think those advising the president must now come to the reality and tell the president the truth, that checks and balances, especially among the citizenry, is something that is allowed. Ours is a constitutional democracy. And I think the earlier the president realizes this, the better. Because, at the end of the day, the same government will be put to task to explain the whereabouts of these individuals. Mike, if my memory serves me well, we had the former IG of police, Douglas Masengeli. He was taken through a court process and forced to produce some of the abducted Kenyans. So we cannot just say that these things are not happening. They are happening on a daily basis. And the government is privy to this information. The government is aware of this information. And those advising the president, please tell him the truth, that whatever the abductors are doing is just painting the image of the government of the day.
I know you want to respond to that, but also there's also the aspect of oversight by Parliament. We're supposed to be held accountable by Parliament, and why aren't we seeing this oversight role?
Mike, about that, the greatest challenge that we have as a country is that the institutions of oversight, and you mentioned about Parliament. This is why someone by the name Baron de Montesquieu taught us about the question of checks and balances. Parliament as an institution has failed on its oversight roles. Parliament as an institution, and I have to just call out this, Mike. You see, like for example, you saw what happened in South Korea. Parliament took up the noble role and impeached the president because the president was not up to the task. You see, on the 25th of June, when the young Kenyans, when the demonstrators went to the National Assembly, that one sent a very strong message. And the message was very loud and clear that Kenyans are not only sick and tired, but also lost confidence in the leadership of the National Assembly. Kenyans had lost total confidence in the members of Parliament. What I can say is that on that particular day, Parliament was impeached. Yes. Kenyans have little or no confidence in the National Assembly because if the manner in which they handle issues just raises a number of questions, Mike. You see, we have various issues that the legislature should be handling at the moment, but you realize that they have taken a back seat. And now the fundamental question that we ask ourselves as a country and as a people is this. Is the legislature up to its task? Is it performing its constitutional duties? You see, since the inception of a parliamentary policies in this country, whatever that happened on 25th of June, Mike, is something that that must not be forgotten by this generation and also the coming generation. So when Parliament fails to perform its constitutional duties, when it fails to perform its roles, now that's what has brought us to where we are as a country. You see, we have parliamentary committees that are supposed to question the IG of police, the minister, the CS Interior, to explain some of these issues. But now they have failed to perform their roles.
So why are we not seeing this oversight role play out?
Well, to be honest, I think that Mr. Omao has put it correctly that Parliament is the last organ you want to trust in oversighting, at least from the finance bill to the way the crime has escalated in the country, in the abductions. They have not said anything. What they do normally is to go to funerals and try to really talk loud about their own differences and sort of quarrel, literally. They heckle and quarrel in public. You saw what happened in Bungoma. I mean, you can't imagine that leaders can go to that low to turn a funeral into a place where you want to, just laugh. You want to bark like a dog before your owner, really make a lot of bad noise. It embarrasses people, by the way. I don't even know if the members of Parliament know they actually embarrass us when they say certain things. You feel really totally embarrassed. Mike, abductions are normally criminal in nature. If you look at abductions are normally criminal. By the way, it is organized criminals who actually abduct people. When you look at those abductions in Brazil, when you look at what happens in Somalia, when you look at how terrorists operate, they abduct people and then they claim that a group comes up and says, we are the ones with those people. But government cannot use criminal methods to even silence dissidents.
Okay, hold on that point. We take a very short break. We come back and finish on that. Don't go too far. This is Good Morning Kenya.
Thank you for joining us on Healthy Living. Stay connected to Voice of America at voanews.com. A look at your kidneys and how they impact your health. And an expert discusses chronic kidney disease and how to protect yourself. And Ivorian psychologist Noor Bakayoko shares some insights on bullying and what can be done.
It's important to avoid major events or major health crises.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well
and strive to make every day a healthy day.
Una hakika ni mume wangu huyo? Si karibu amemtaja? Na alikuwa katika mazingira gani akimtaja?
Wewe kutokusoma kumekukosea sana. Haya, huu upuzi umefundishwa na nani?
Ni kuhusu mimba ya Karembo.
Ni nani? Hebu toka nje.
Nipeleke kwa kina Karembo. Karembo nani? Utanipeleka ama? Basi ngoja, sina muda Nuru. Kama wanipeleka nipeleke, kama uwezi niambie uwezi.
Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. My name is Mike. Maybe this is People and Politics. And before we went on a break, Wakili, we were talking about why we are not seeing the overall side, the oversight role of the parliament.
Yeah. Let me put it more carelessly, Mike.
Okay.
A lot of those members of parliament are connected or have a link to how these things happen. They have their friends in security arms. They use such pockets, misled police officers who have not been authorized by the Inspector General of Police. So they just talk somewhere in some club and they form a squad, and the squad starts abducting people. And that's why you see the Inspector General telling you, of police telling you, we are not aware.
But there is NIS
and therefore when you say
investigate these things and
yes, so now
establish
NIS now, if now we demand for a report, for example, the courts give such orders, NIS will give you a report. And it is true, the report will be exposing a lot of police officers who are clandestinely being used. But again, I will tell you for free, the way leadership and management works, they will not bring that report to us, because it will be showing a lot of cracks within the police sector. So the best thing to do, as I was telling you, it's important for Douglas Kanja, sorry, as he has said, that he's not involved. It's important for him to come heavily against those police officers who are being used to mask themselves and abduct people. And as I was telling you, abducting is actually a criminal offense. Abducting is not arresting, it's not summoning a suspect. Abducting is a method used by criminals. Terrorists use this, and also criminals use this against business people. I remember someone in Tanzania one time was abducted by business rivals. Abductions happen in the villages, in homes, by criminals. Police do not abduct. The reason why police abduct is because they are sure that the people they are trying to arrest or abduct cannot be charged in a court of law and sustain a crime which actually can finally lead to a conviction. So they use these methods, like my brother said, to intimidate and silence the dissidents. And this is totally objectionable and unacceptable under UN treaties and under our constitution. That's why you see many countries will support the youth when they are freely expressing themselves. I mean, presidents all over the world, Mike, are abused. I don't know why Kenyans hate being insulted. I mean, presidents all over the world that's just a way of, in fact, you should disregard it, because when you are insulted, the person insulting you is probably more lesser in status than you are. I mean, why is he insulting you? So don't use the word insulting to really try to terrorize the whole country. I can tell you, for example, imagine you look funny. That's me, that's my imagination. It is not gazetted anywhere that what I have said is correct. So if we depict cartoons that talk like this or like that about you, it means nothing. So that is what is democracy. I think that the people in government need to grow up. The men and women in State House around the president need to grow up. They need to tell the president, Your Excellency, we will find out how to get good bloggers to counter this, so that now everyone can see that we have grown to this stature. But to abduct people using criminal methods is actually going to take us back to a country which we do not like.
Okay. Now, let's move to another story that is making headline on the front page of the Star newspaper. This is what they have put. Gachagua 2027 poll battle plan. Vengeful Rigathi is reaching out to other groupings. That story is told on page 4 and 5 of the Star newspaper. There's a word that has been used here. A vengeful Rigathi is reaching out to other grouping. Let me start with you. Do you think the former deputy president is vengeful politically in all this, based on the happenings or what he's doing?
Okay, Mike. This is my opinion about that. I can say that our former deputy president is as angry as an injured tiger. A reason, you can remember how he was hounded out of office.
Yeah.
In the last few months, and whatever that is trying to do is to make sure that he revenges against his former boss, the president of the Republic of Kenya, and he's seriously doing that, Mike, and without any fear of contradiction. I want to say that the former deputy president has taken serious inroads, especially from his Mount Kenya region, where he comes from. And from where I sit, Mike, I want to objectively mention that Rigathi Gachagua, the so-called truthful man, will have to give William Ruto a run for his money when it comes to the 2027 elections. And I think the president is watching this show, Mike.
Yes.
In the past few months, we have seen President William Ruto making inroads in Western and also Nyanza regions, which is Raila Odinga's political bastion. Believing that Raila Odinga is going to win the AUC chairmanship, that is most probably, I think we'll come to that topic, Mike. But this now raises a serious question. Here we have a basket full of votes from the Mount Kenya region. You know, they voted as a bloc in the last elections. And the so-called truthful man says that he's the one who delivered that vote to the president, which is true, Mike, because we had a former president, Uhuru Kenyatta, who had told the people of that particular region that they should support Raila Odinga in that elections, but they went against the former President Uhuru Kenyatta and embraced what Gachagua told them. So what the former deputy president is currently doing is trying to mobilize that particular region and inform them that they had made a serious mistake of electing President William Ruto. And the people are seriously taking that message. That message is home, as we are currently speaking.
Okay.
Unless and otherwise, Wakili or any other listener has a contrary opinion.
Wakili, as you give those sentiments, will the deputy president be able to maintain that momentum, given that 2027 is almost 2 years away, give or take?
Yeah, first and foremost, I believe in people management and a good political strategy. That vengeful word must be removed from Gachagua. Gachagua must remove that notion that he's trying to avenge. If he removes that, then he goes forward with a clear mindset of how he can then give Ruto a run for his money. But again, it has been said that Gachagua is not very strategic when he's approaching his issues. He simply comes out and says what he wants to say as a truthful man, as he has called himself. So, so maybe he's trying to ignite trying to really excite the masses, trying to create some good fire around him. That is different from when now it comes to consolidating votes. He has the mountain. The mountain is not behind Gachagua because of him. The mountain is behind Gachagua because they have a common philosophy as Mount Kenya, and they don't like to be separated. And as you can see, Kenya Kwanza is trying its level best to divide Mount Kenya. But in terms of, because you ask whether he is really ready to face Ruto in 2027, there is no other politician today who has given people the confidence that they can face Ruto, except Rigathi Gachagua. But will he be there? Because he has an impeachment issue. You see now, that is where the problem is.
Which now brings another question. Is he better off as a kingmaker or as a candidate?
So you have seen recently very renowned lawyers trying to say judiciary is very corrupt and they should all be wiped out. They want another overhaul. It is connected and related to 2027, and it is appended to Rigathi Gachagua. The way Rigathi Gachagua was hounded out of office is agreeable among several legal minds that that process was not quite good. And you've seen comments from judges saying, hey, how could system just go down when somebody wanted to file his defense? I mean, why? So there is a general feeling that Rigathi Gachagua will actually be cleared by the courts. In terms of, he may not be reinstated to be deputy president again, because that's a political process, but then you have to give him his political rights. He has to, exercise his political rights. And if he wants to contest, he can be allowed to contest. To frustrate that, now there is a cunning talk and debate about the judiciary is extremely redeemable, so let us wipe it out so that we can get the judges we want, who actually will not allow somebody like Rigathi Gachagua to contest. So that is the whole point here. The point is not the judiciary is more corrupt than it has been. Judiciaries around the world are corrupt because people normally have to take their problems to the judiciary. And of course, cunning people, cunning businessmen will have to go around and see how can I sustain my business. I have to talk to the deputy registrar, the magistrate, the clerks, the judges, So it is not new. But the point here is to ensure that Rigathi Gachagua should not be cleared to contest. Why? If Rigathi Gachagua were to contest, he is the only human being standing mic who can actually give Ruto a honest run for his money. Another person who was to do that, of course, was Fred Matiang'i. But as you can see, Fred was scared of the country and he could not stay around and actually, make networks and then give. But why are these two people very much alike in terms of giving Ruto a run for his money? They are forthright. They say what has to be said. And then it resonates easily with people. They don't have philosophies and going around words. They go straight to the point. Can you imagine Rigathi coming on air and saying that I was being killed by the state? And I know the officers from NIS and the police, all that kind of thing. You don't find Kalonzo coming out and saying this and that is that straightforward. That's why I'm telling you that there will be all machinery put in place to ensure that Rigathi Gachagua is not able to contest. If he were to be left to contest, you asked if he can be a kingmaker now. If he were to be left to contest and mingle with the politicians as a candidate, and probably drop off for someone, then give all his Mount Kenya votes to that individual, then if he were to be left to contest, then he will mobilize people more strongly and actually point people to that particular other individual, because the behind the scenes talks is. We are from Mount Kenya, we supported Ruto, and we can now demonstrate again we can support another person, and that other person can win. Now, my worry has always been that the way Kalonzo comes out now, and the way Fred has, gone out of, public limelight, because politics is like electronics, Mike. You go ahead, you actually stay ahead.
Yeah.
And William Ruto understood it in 2013. I must start now. And in 2017, he started harvesting people from Uhuru Kenyatta right under his nose, and he was not actually aware that he's doing that. That is why he actually romped into State House. You talk about Supreme Court, theft, rigging, and all that. Even to do that rigging correctly, you need partners. So you cannot say that you will come out in the last year and remove a person of the stature of William Ruto.
Speaking of acquiring people from the last administration, what do you think the appointments that were made in December by the president, will they have an impact on the politics of the mountain, given that he appointed people who are more or less close to the former president?
Okay, Mike, to be very honest with myself and with yourself, I'll say that whatever appointments that the president made will, of course, according to him, he just wanted to please the mountain, and at least gain some momentum in the mountain and gain some votes, which according to him, I really doubt, Mike. Why do I doubt this, that sentiment? You see, the Mount Kenya region, it's mostly comprised of the business community. And with respect to them, the president has come up with economic policies and taxes that directly affect their business. So, as I said earlier on, the mountain are now embracing Rigathi Gachagua. So, and if you can try to imagine what happened, immediately these appointments were made. That region was not ecstatic in any way, Mike. So this implies that those individuals went there on their personal capacities and not on the interest of the mountain. So whatever the president is trying to do is to regain some of the lost glory among that region. And I think what I'd like to say is that what the president needs to look at is what's happening, especially at the global stage and actually Africa at large. There is what we call the democratic renaissance that is sweeping so fast and so quickly, especially in the African continent. You saw what happened in Senegal, in Senegal, Mike. An opposition candidate, President Baziroy Faye, was elected. You saw what happened in Zambia, Hakainde Hichilema, the opposition candidate. In Malawi, Dr. Chakwera. So this basically implies that the Africans are embracing democracy, whereby the vote is won on the ballot. So that's what I'm trying to say.
Let me ask you, sorry, it's your mic, but opposition candidates are winning in those other countries. Now in Kenya, do we have an opposition candidate then who is even able to contest and actually win? You know, and Raila Odinga going to a African Union, by the way, is bad for William Ruto. Whether he goes or he doesn't go, I will tell you why. If he goes to the African Union, look at IBC record is on the web. You can check. The number of people who come out to vote from Luo Nyanza will be 60%. Sometimes it is the Luo Nyanza actually who let down Raila Odinga every other time, because they don't come out in large numbers like Rigathi Gachagua's men. So from 60%, if Raila goes to AUC, they will turn out 30 or 40%.
Sure.
So it is still bad for William Ruto. If he stays here and supports William Ruto, still we expect, because he is not standing as a president, as Raila Odinga, he will still maybe amass 50%. But when you understand those demographics, then you understand why it will appear like Ruto needs those people in the Nyanza area. And when you talk about rigging issues, that's where they happen. Because you have numbers at least from where to do what. Depending on what number of votes you have in that region, you have numbers to top up to your meager results, if you please. So Raila going to African Union or Raila not going to African Union, as long as he is not standing, the Luo Nyanza vote does not go to William Ruto. You can take this to any bank. The truth is, the number of votes that William Ruto hopes to garner from Luo Nyanza will never be what Raila Odinga brings to the ballot every time he contests.
According to you, Omao, Raila goes to the AU, gets it. He goes to the AU, does not get it. From your standpoint, What will be the outcome of this, and how will it impact 2027?
So this is what will happen, Mike. And as the saying goes, elections are only won by those who have the ability to plan and organize accordingly. So this is the reason as to why we are seeing these political formations moving here and there, trying to convince this group of people to join their camp. So this is what is most likely going to happen. Scenario number one, if Raila Odinga wins the AUC seat. So as it has always been the norm, and as Wakili has said, even when Raila Amolo Odinga is on the ballot, the voter turnout in the Luo Nyanza region has never been 70%. It's actually a staggering 67-65%. And that's why I think Raila Odinga has never been president in this country. Like, for example, in the last elections, you realize that 700,000 Luo voters never turned out to vote. And William Ruto beat Raila Odinga by just 200,000 votes. So that, you can imagine about that. So if Raila Odinga will win the AU seat, which I don't think, for the reasons that I'll give, and if we'll talk about that, I'll say why he'll not win, in my opinion.
You just say it.
I just say it.
Yes.
You see, Mike, as a political analyst, I'm a regular consumer of data and statistics. We have the kind of political, or the kind of politics that is being played at the African Union is such that we have the Francophone Africa countries. These are the countries that were initially colonized by the French. These countries, when there is something common, when there is something that is being contested in the African continent, these countries vote in the same direction. For example, for the last 4 African Union Commission chairpersons, 3 have come from that region. Moussa Faki is from Chad, which is a Francophone country. So what I'm trying to say is that according to the trends, how the voting patterns has been taking place, like I've given you an example, in the last 4 African Union Commission chairpersons, 3 have come from that particular region. And another serious reason that I think Raila Odinga will likely to have a serious Herculean task with regards to this position is the manner in which he has been campaigning, how it started. You see, initially, when Raila Odinga mentioned that he was going for this portfolio, William Ruto, our head of state, was campaigning with Baba from day one. And what is the general image of President William Ruto when it comes to the African politics? You see, there's a manner in which some heads of state, especially from Africa, are viewed that William Ruto, the head of state in Kenya, the manner in which he was handling his politics. You see, you can remember, Mike, Kenya was recognized as a non-NATO ally by the United States. That was by the Biden administration. I think this never augured well with other African heads of state. For example, we have our neighbor here in Uganda, Yoweri Museveni. He has been in that portfolio for so long. And here comes a new head of state on the block. And just in less than 2 years into office, the country has been granted the non-NATO ally status.
But Museveni doesn't qualify anyway.
That's one, Mike. That's one. Number 2, there's a manner in which other African heads of state view William Ruto. And I'm sorry to say this. You see, like it was accorded a state visit to the United States of America some few months ago. Now, what is the impression of other heads of state? And as I said, Wakili, you saw last time Kizza Besigye was abducted here in Nairobi. What will be the impression of those opposition leaders who have been elected presidents in the continent, you know, it will not be Raila Odinga as a person who will be charged. It will be Kenya as a country will be put to task. It will be charged. So Kenya will be seen as a country that doesn't uphold the rule of law, as a country that doesn't uphold democracy, and the manner in which those opposition leaders from across the continent, the manner in which they are going to view Kenya as a country is that Kenya is not ready.
For me, Mike, I think Raila has more votes, but I think that African presidents might decide to favor Kenya and say, we don't need this guy here, we need him there so he can contain the situation in his home country. But in terms of votes, I think he has more than his contender, the other two contenders. But I think that the mood in African region is that let Raila sort Kenyan mess more than over here. So, but in that case again, I can tell you for free that Raila could come back and galvanize people. I don't know if you will agree with Rigathi Gachagua. There is no permanent enmity in politics, as you have seen now already. And I don't know, even Rigathi would come back again with Ruto. But your major question was what Rigathi Gachagua would do. He is the most formidable candidate against William Ruto. If you are talking about I don't know, several other people being mentioned, they have not even offered themselves. So it is only Rigathi Gachagua who has put his chest out and is ready to die for the country. I think he's the most
in the interest of time, I'll give you each other 30 seconds to give you a parting shot, and I'll start with Omar.
What I want to say is that Kenya as a country, what we need currently more than anything else is a peace of mind. A peace of mind in the sense that we have a favorable working condition, a favorable environment, whereby we don't have demonstrations, we don't have civil strikes, so that each and every Kenyan will get that opportune moment to go out, hustle, and earn a living. That is what I want to say, Mike.
All right. Wakili?
I think Kenya should stop all abductions, and we must appreciate that the reasons why youth and citizens are really criticizing the government is because of the space in democracy which we have, and there should be no imagination that this criticism will stop. The issue should be that the government should listen to its people and do what is correct.
Yes, exactly.
Criticisms can be there, but the government should listen to its people and do what is right. The government is not serving metal or tables. The government is serving people, and it should listen to people's criticism as a way of people expressing themselves.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, thank you for making time. That is Wakili Ishmael Nyaribo, who is a constitutional lawyer, and Bwana Thomas Omar, who is a political analyst, joining us here on Good Morning Kenya. My name is Mike Migwi. This is where we end this segment, but don't go too far. Good Morning Kenya continues after this short break. Good morning.
Is broken and it's calling out your name.
Katika mlango wa kuwafanyia wazazi wema tumeamrishwa tuwaheshimu na pia tuwakirimu na tuwazungumzishe kwa kauli za heshima na pia kauli zenye kuwaonyesha kuwa tunawapenda hata watakapokuwa wao ni wazee.
Na wazazi wawili kuwafanyia wema. Lakini mu'sifun jiddan, inasikitisha mno sana annajida tupate mtu na hiyo ndo wake.
Allahumma salli ala sayyidina ya Mustafa.
Swing, swing, muziki simbumba. Dalanda sindumba. Yeah, Julia, you know, I did not know you have another Indian talent.
Mr. Saji, I knew you are not the one to say no to easy and quick money.
Me say no to easy and quick money? Really? Never.
I moved to a new house. Hey, OMG. And the balcony view. Hey, another
G.
Butterfly. In fact, get ready. We are going for swimming in a very few minutes.
Wenzangu pande wa pili bila, asante sana mwenzangu Rashid Mwamkondo upande wa KBC Radio Taifa sauti ya Mkenya. Mimi naitwa Dora Manya. Msikilizaji na mtazamaji, happy new year. Karibu tena, tunapatana katika shughuli nzima hii ya Gumzo Pevu. Kumbuka inakuwa ni uhusiano mkubwa kati ya KBC Channel 1 na vile vile KBC Radio Taifa sauti ya Mkenya. Na hii leo basi tunafungua mwaka kwa kuangazia swala zima la ugavi wa fedha za kaunti. Msikilizaji na mtazamaji, tunakutana hewani kwa mara ya kwanza mwaka huu 2025, ushirikiano wa KBC Radio Taifa na KBC Channel 1 kwa mazungumzo ya kina kuhusu masuala ya ugavi wa fedha za kaunti. Na vile vile msikilizaji na mtazamaji, mfumo mpya wa ugavi wa mapato uliopendekezwa na tume ya ugavi wa mapato nchini CRA umezua mjadala nchini, huku zaidi ya nusu ya kaunti 47 nchini zikikabiliwa na kupunguzwa kwa ufadhili ikiwa bunge la seneti litaidhinisha mpango huo. Mfumo huo ambao unalenga kurekebisha jinsi pesa zinavyosambazwa kwa kaunti umeleta mabadiliko katika viegezo vya mgao wa mapato na kutilia mkazo zaidi idadi ya watu. Bila shaka mabadiliko haya yatapendelea kaunti zilizo na idadi kubwa ya watu na kuhakikisha kuwa zinapokea sehemu kubwa ya mapato ya kitaifa. Hata hivyo, mtindo huo mpya unaleta upunguzwaji kwa kaunti kadhaa, haswa zile zilizo na idadi ndogo ya watu. Licha mapendekezo hayo, kuna haja kutoa uelezi zaidi kwa mwananchi kuhusu umuhimu wa mfumo huu na jinsi swala zima la ugavi wa fedha kwenye kaunti zinavyotekelezwa. Na hata hivyo, mfumo huu ikiwa itapitishwa na kuanza kufanya kazi, utaathiri vipi utendakazi wa kaunti? Kutusaidia kuelewa masuala haya hapa studioni asubuhi ya leo, basi tuna kamishna katika mamlaka ya mgao wa mapato nchini CRA, ukipenda Commission on Revenue Allocation. Basi huyu ni kamishna Hadija Juma. Karibu sana katika studio zetu.
Asante, hamjamboni.
Na bila shaka pia tunaye Daktari John Dunda, yeye ni naibu katibu mkuu wa muungano wa wafanyikazi wa serikali za kaunti hapa nchini. Karibu sana.
Asante.
Nitaomba usongee mikrofoni yako vizuri ili tuweze kuelewana. Asante sana. Happy New Year nyote.
Happy New Year.
Mwaka umeanza vizuri.
Tunatarajia mwaka wenye fanaka.
Bila shaka.
Naam.
Asanteni kufika katika studio zetu. Na moja kwa moja tuingie katika mjadala wa leo, na tuanze nawe Kamishna Hadija. Tunazungumzia mfumo mpya ambao umependekezwa wa ugavi wa fedha za kaunti, na inatajwa kwa ndio mfumo wa 4 ama formula 4 tangu shughuli nzima hii ilipoanza. Tusaidie kuelewa mfumo huu ambao tunazungumzia, basi unahusu nini haswa?
Asante sana, na mwanzo ningependa labda kupeana historia kidogo wa Kenya waweze kuelewa kwamba katiba yetu ya Kenya ya 2010 ilipatia tume ya ugavi wa mapato CRA mamlaka katika kipengele cha 216(1) kuweza kuja na mipangilio ya kugawa fedha kati ya serikali kuu na serikali za kaunti na kati ya serikali za kaunti 47. Na ni kwa sababu hiyo tume ya ugavi wa mapato huwa inatengeneza mpangilio kila baada ya miaka 5, inatengeneza mpangilio wa kugawa hizi fedha ikitumia vigezo tofauti tofauti. Hii ni tume ya 3 ya CRA. Tume ya kwanza iliweza kuwa na formula 2, waliweza kuleta formula 2 baada ya mwaka wa kwanza ilitengeneza formula ambayo ilitumika miaka 3, alafu ikatengeneza formula nyingine ambayo iliweza kutumika miaka 2. Tume ya pili ikaweza kuja na formula ambayo iliweza formula ya 3, na sasa hii tume ya 3 ndo imependekeza formula ya 4, na katiba inasema kwamba CRA ama tume ya ugavi wa mapato inapendekeza hii formula katika bunge la seneti, na bunge la seneti ndo litaweza kupitisha. Bunge la seneti liko na uhuru wa kukataa hii formula kutoka CRA, ama waweze kujadili wairekebishe, ama wakatae kabisa na wao wenyewe wafanya nini, wapendekeze vile jinsi watakavyotaka. Kwa hivyo katika formula ya 4 kama tume tuliweza kuketi tukafanya kitu kinaitwa public participation, tukahusisha governors, tukahusisha senators, tukasikiza wananchi kwa mapendekezo yale wangependa ile formula ya 4, tukiangalia upungufu wa formula ya 3 ni vipi tunaweza imarisha formula ya 4. Kwa hivyo tuliweza kuja na mapendekezo 5 ama vigezo 5. Idadi ya watu ambayo ilipewa 45%. Kuna baada idadi ya watu kuna ile kitu tunaita basic share. Basic share ni ile county zote zinapata equal share, kwa sababu tunasema kwa mfano Lamu County hata kama ni ndogo ina gavana moja, Nairobi County hata kama ni kubwa ina gavana moja kama Lamu County. So tuna ile kigezo tunaita basic share, tukao tumeipatia 20%, na tuna land area kulingana na ukubwa wa county ikapewa 9%. Alafu tuko na umaskini, tulitumia vigezo 5, tukaangalia umaskini tukapatia 14%, 14%. Alafu kuna kitu tunaita economic distance ambayo ilipewa 13%.
Naam, umefanya vizuri, umeeleza vizuri kabisa mbali ambako mmetoka, na labda swali litajitokeza baadaye, kwa nini kuna kelele tayari kutoka kwa baadhi ya magavana na tayari umetaja kwamba mliohusisha katika ile inaitwa public participation. Labda tutakuja hapo baadaye kidogo. Lakini kija kwako Bwana Ndunda, ameeleza kamishna vizuri, kabla nirejee kwake, tusaidie kuelewa pia tofauti iliyopo katika ile tunasema formula ya sasa ambayo imependekezwa inangoja kuidhinishwa na bunge la seneti, na labda ile ambayo ilikuwepo pale, na kwa kweli labda gani ambayo unapendelea, ile ya sasa ama ile ambayo ilikuwepo?
Okay, asante sana. Sisi kama viongozi wafanyikazi tumejaribu kupekua na kuangalia formula iliyokuwepo na ile ambayo imependekezwa kwa sasa na CRA, na tumekuta kuna tofauti kubwa sana. Kwa ukweli na kwa haki, hakuna pesa ambayo imeongezeka kwa sababu ya idadi. Kwa sababu hapo awali kulikuwa na vigezo mingi ambazo zilikuwa zinajumulisha population ama idadi ya watu kufikia 66%. Hizo vigezo zilikuwa idadi ilikuwa inapewa population 18%. Kulikuwa mambo ya kilimo ambayo pia ilikuwa inakuwa pegged na idadi ya watu ilikuwa 10%. Health ilikuwa 17%. Mabarabara ilikuwa 8%. Urban services ilikuwa 5%, na kulikuwa na pia hii nyingine ambayo ilikuwa na non-area ilikuwa 8%. Ukiunganisha hiyo yote ambayo ilikuwa inarejelea kwa mambo ya population ilikuwa inafika 66%. Kwa hivyo saa hizi wamepunguza kutoka 66 wakaweka 42. Na ndio maana ukiangalia jiji zote za Kenya zile ambazo ziko na idadi kubwa zaidi ya population, mgao wao umepungua. Hapa Nairobi mgao umepungua, Mombasa mgao umepungua, Kilifi mgao umepungua, Nairobi Nakuru mgao umepungua, ukiangalia Kakamega mgao umepungua. Kwa hivyo kuna kadi fiche, si kweli wameweka, kwa sababu ukiangalia pia zile kaunti ambazo zimepunguziwa hela ni 21 na zile zinafaidika ni 16. Kwa hivyo sasa kuna kadi fiche hapo ambao tunataka iwekwe kwa meza vizuri, kwa sababu sasa wakati waliunganisha idadi, kilimo, afya, barabara na utendakazi katika urban areas na non area, basi ingekuwa the same. Na ndio maana unaona kitu kama umaskini wame retain ilikuwa 14, ilikuwa 14%, na vile vile basic share ilikuwa 20%. Sasa land area wameongeza, alafu pia economic distance. Na ndio maana unaona sasa zile kaunti ambazo zimepata mgao mkubwa kabisa ni zile ambazo ziko na big land area, si population hata kidogo. Baadaye nitaweza kusema hakika zimepunguza na kiwango gani aswa. Yeah.
Lakini labda pia mtanikosoa, kile ambacho nilikuwa naelewa ni kwamba pendekezo la mfumo huu mpya ni kwamba zile kaunti ambazo zina watu wengi zinafaa kwa zinapata pesa zaidi. Kwa sasa anasema Bwana Ndunda kwamba sivyo itakapotokea. Wameangazia ukubwa ile tunasema land mass, ama labda ile county inatoshana vipi, lakini si idadi ya swa ya watu. Labda sijui nisaidie kuelewa pale.
Nakubaliana na ndugu yangu kwa yale ambayo amesema. Ni kwamba kule nje tunataka kuambia watu kwamba tumeongeza population kutoka 14% mpaka 42, lakini ukweli wa mambo ni kwamba imepunguzwa. Ndio maana unapata the 8 populous counties zote zinapoteza. Kama kweli tumekuwa tumezidisha idadi ya population ama weight ya population, zingekuwa zinafaidika, lakini zinapoteza kwa sababu population imeweza kupunguzwa. Na labda sijui kama naweza eleza, mimi ni commissioner katika tume ya ugavi wa mapato, lakini sikubaliani na hilo pendekezo za fourth formula, kwa sababu nina sababu tofauti ambazo ndugu yangu zingine ameweza kuzitaja. Na ile sababu yangu kubwa kwanza nakataa ni kwamba kulingana na heshima ya kitu tunaita fiscal responsibility, haifai mtu yeyote ama kaunti yeyote kupunguziwa pesa kutoka kwa zile ambazo amekuwa amepata, kwa sababu tukifanya hivyo tunaua ugatuzi. Maendeleo yatafika tu kwenye kaunti zetu ikiwa tutapatia counties pesa, na ikiwa tunawapunguzia pesa ni kumaanisha tunaua ugatuzi. Kwa nini nasema hivyo? Ukiangalia all the city counties ambazo ziko Kenya 5, Mombasa County, Uasin Gishu County, Kisumu County, Nakuru County, Nairobi County, zote zinapoteza. Na mimi ninaamini kwamba ikiwa kweli tunataka kuimarisha uchumi wa nchi hii, ni lazima tuweze kupatia city counties pesa za kutosha kuweza kuziimarisha. Wakati tunapunguza pesa zao ni kumaanisha tunaua uchumi wa nchi hii. Jambo la pili, counties nyingi zinapoteza. Angalia county kama Kisii County inapoteza 800 million. Unajua dadangu, 800 million kwa kaunti ndogo kama Kisii inaweza fanya kazi ngapi? Inaweza chimba maji, iletea wamama maji kwa boma zao kiwango gani? Inaweza jenga barabara kiasi gani? In fact, I think your 800 million tayari ni salary ya wafanyikazi. Kwa ufupi, tunajaribu kuambia watu kwamba labda wafanyikazi wafanye kazi fisabilai kule, wasilipwe mshahara. So, ukiangalia kaunti ndogo kama Nyeri inapoteza 500 million. Kwa nini ukinyang'anya kaunti ndogo kama Nyeri 500 million, unaua hiyo kaunti? Na sisi hatutaki kuwa hapa kama tujulikane ama tukumbukwe kwa historia kama wale watu ambao walikuja kuua ugatuzi. Hapana. Kwa hivyo kwa vile kaunti nyingi zinapoteza kwa hii formula, mimi siungi mkono hii formula. Jambo lingine ni kwamba counties tayari ziko na plan yao, kitu wanaita CIDP, County Integrated Development Plan ya 5 years. Tayari wali project kwamba hizi 5 years watapata equitable share kiasi fulani. Leo hii unaambia Mandera County kwamba unawapunguzia 2 billion. 2 billion is a lot of money. Unapunguzia Mandera County 2 billion, unatarajia wajaze hilo pengo kivipi? Kwa hivyo hiyo formula sio nzuri na mimi siungi mkono. Jambo lingine, katika data ya Kenya National Bureau of Statistics ambayo imepewa mamlaka na bunge kwamba wao ndio watakuwa wanaangalia mambo ya data na statistics Kenya, ukiangalia KNBS 2022 inakuambia kwamba Kenya, shamba la Kenya limepungua na 481 kilometers square, kwa sababu zingine nyingi ambayo labda wakati mwingine tunaweza kuja kuzungumzia. Na ikiwa the third formula ilipatia weight land area 8%, leo hii tunaongeza land area from 8% to 9%. Tunatumia sababu gani ikiwa data yenyewe inatuambia kwamba land area Kenya imepungua? Kwa nini tunazidisha badala ya kupunguza? Jambo lingine, ukiangalia all the female zile counties ambazo zinaongozwa na kina mama zote, Mary County, Homa Bay County, Nakuru County, Kwale County, Machakos County, zote zinapoteza. Je, wakati unanyang'anya counties ambazo zinaongozwa na kina mama fedha, unawasaidia kuendelea kuongoza ama unataka kugandamiza uongozi wa kina mama? Kwa hivyo hayo ni baadhi ya mambo ambayo mimi nasema kwamba hii formula ya 4 sio nzuri, na mimi nataka kuomba bunge la seneti, limepewa mamlaka na katiba ya kuamua ile formula ambayo itatumika. Mimi nataka kuwaomba wa reject hii fourth formula, the proposed fourth formula, kwa sababu inataka kugandamiza ugatuzi.
Kabla nirudi kwake Bwana Ndunda, mimi na wananchi pia mwingine labda pale nje atashangaa, iweje kwamba wewe ni commissioner katika tume hii ya ugavi wa mapato, lakini una hisia kinzani labda na wenzako ama commission nzima, iweje kwamba iko vile, na umekuwa pale ndani na umesema kwamba pia mlifanya public participation, mzungumza na washikadau mbalimbali, lakini iweje kwamba wewe na maoni kinzani?
Na maoni kinzani kwa sababu kwanza sisi watatu tulikuwa na maoni kinzani, hata tukasaini kitu inaitwa dissent kwamba hatukubaliani na huo uamuzi. Na ni vile tu huwa inafanyika hata bungeni. Kuna miswada inapelekwa bungeni, kuna wale wana vote yes, kuna wale wana vote no. Wale wengi watapata, lakini haimaanishi kwamba wale wachache mwenye hamkupata hamzungumzi. Na ndio maana unasikia kuna kelele huko nje, governors wanapiga kelele, na senate ikirudi nina uhakika pia wataenda kupiga kelele. Na mimi nawaunga mkono, hata mimi napiga kelele kwa sababu sikubaliani nayo, na nimepeana sababu ambazo zinafanya kwamba sikubaliani na hii formula, kwa sababu inagandamiza ugatuzi. Kuna sababu ni kwa nini Wakenya waliamua kwamba wanataka serikali za ugatuzi. Nashukuru Mwenyezi Mungu nimeweza kutembea katika hizi kaunti zote 47, na kuna kusema ukweli, kuna sehemu ambazo utafika wakati tulikuwa tunatumia serikali kuu hawakuwa hata na barabara ya lami. Wameona barabara ya lami mara ya kwanza wakati tumekuwa na ugatuzi. Kuna sehemu ambayo hata maji ilikuwa ni shida. Watu wameanza kuona maji ama kuwa na maji kwa ukaribu kwa sababu ya serikali ya ugatuzi. Na ukinyima serikali za ugatuzi fedha, inamaanisha kwamba unaua ugatuzi. Na mimi kile ninapinga ni kuua ugatuzi. Na nikimaliza nataka kusema hata kama katiba imetupatia mamlaka ya kuja na formula, haimaanishi ati kila wakati tunakuja na formula. Kama ile ambayo iko inafanya vizuri, haina haja ya kuleta formula nyingine. Kwa mfano, katiba ya Kenya tumeazima ama tumeboro heavily katika katiba ya South Africa. Tunatumia sana, tulikopa sana kutoka katiba ya South Africa. South Africa wametumia formula moja for the past 30 years. Kenya is not different. We can still do the same. The third formula bado ni nzuri, na ilifanywa tu 2020 na walirun at 380. Huu mwaka we are still at 387. Sioni sababu ya sisi kuja na formula mpya ikiwa kuna hii formula ya tatu ambayo bado inaweza tumika.
Shukrani. Rejea kwako Bwana Ndunda, na pia hata wewe ulikuwa unasema kwamba ukubaliani na formula hii mpya, wewe kama naibu katibu mkuu wa muungano wa wafanyakazi wa serikali za kaunti hapa nchini. Amesema Bi Hadija kwamba ni kugandamiza ugatuzi, lakini japo pia ametaja kwamba kaunti zipo nyingi sana kama Kakamega, kaunti kama Kitui ambazo zitakuwa zinapoteza katika mgao huu, kaunti kama Narok, Kisii, Homa Bay na kaunti zingine. Zipo kaunti pia ambazo zinakwenda kufaidi. Kwa mfano, kaunti kama Kajiado, Kericho, Samburu, Vihiga na kaunti zingine kama Garissa, Marsabit, Isiolo, Wajir, baadhi tu ya kaunti ambazo pia zinakwenda kufaidi. Weje kwamba basi tunasema ugatuzi utakuwa tunaumaliza, na wapo wengine labda pia wanafaidi, na katika huku kufaidi itawasaidia pia kimaendeleo kama ilivyokuwa kwa kaunti zingine ambazo zilikuwa zinapokea labda mgao zaidi hapo awali.
Kama wafanyikazi, kwa muktasari, sisi katika majimbo yote ya counties tuna wafanyikazi kama 1220, na tukiwa na wafanyikazi zaidi ya 1220 katika ngatuzi zote 47, basi inamaanisha ya kwamba wafanyikazi wale wengi wako kwa ngatuzi zile ambazo ziko katika miji. Wako Nairobi, kama hapa Nairobi tuko na wafanyikazi zaidi ya 18,000. Ukiangalia mahali kama Mombasa tuko na wafanyikazi zaidi ya 7,000, na Nakuru vile vile, ukiangalia Kisumu ni vile vile, na ukiangalia zile kaunti ambazo zimeongezewa mgao ni zile kwa perspective wafanyikazi ziko na wafanyikazi wachache. Ziko na wafanyikazi. Kwa hivyo kwa perspective ya wafanyikazi tunaenda kupoteza sana, kwa sababu kwa mfano ukiangalia kama Kakamega na wafanyikazi kama 6,000 na population ya hapo ni kubwa sana. Kwa hivyo nakuta wamepoteza kama 1.45 billion. Ukiangalia mahali kama Kwale population iko juu, wamepoteza 1.2 billion. Ukiangalia Kilifi wamepoteza 1.2 billion. Nakuru wamepoteza 745 million. Ukiangalia Kisumu amepoteza zaidi ya nusu bilioni. Ukiangalia mahali pengine kama Uasin Gishu 500 billion. Kwa hivyo unaangalia wale ambao wamepata zimeongezeka ni kaunti 16, lakini now the net effect ni kubwa sana on the negative kwa upande wa wafanyikazi, kwa sababu kule ambao wafanyikazi wako wengi sasa tumeshikwa na wasiwasi, kwa sababu kule ambapo wafanyikazi wako wengi na wanastahili kufanya services to the people, kwa sababu vile population iko kubwa ndio services zinahitajika katika ngatuzi. Hivyo unakuta huko ndio hela zimepunguzwa. Kwa hivyo sasa zikipunguzwa inamaanisha basi wafanyikazi tunakalia mahali pabaya, tunaweza poteza hata kazi. Kwa hivyo sasa sisi tunaona hii formula sio sawa, na tunaona ile ambayo imekuwa afadhali sana. Kwa hivyo tunaomba vile vile kama chama seneti ipige teke kubwa hii formula mpya na turudi kwa drawing board.
Labda yuko yule ambaye anauliza, kama mimi Dora nitauliza labda katika mfumo huu labda wa 4, mfumo ambao tutazungumzia hapa, ulipania kuleta usawa katika ugavi wa rasilimali katika kaunti zote 47. Na tayari nimegusia, ndio tumesema kaunti kama 31 zinapoteza, sio labda kaunti kama 16 tu ndo zinakwenda kufaidi. Hamuoni kama labda kuna vile mfumo huu ulikuwa unatafuta kuleta usawa kati hizi kaunti 16 na labda hizi zingine 31?
Wakati tunaongea kwa mambo ya usawa, usawa hauwezi kufinyilia 31 uinue 16. Hiyo sio sawa na sio sawa.
Kwa hivyo 16 waumie, 31 wafanye.
Kumaanisha usawa mtu astahili kuumia. Kwa usawa ni kumaanisha kwamba upewe kile ambacho kinafaa kwa wakati ambao unafaa na usifinyilie mtu yeyote. Kwa hivyo uangalie kama ni idadi ya watu, uangalie kama ni mambo ya kilimo vile ambayo ilikuwa ikiangalia, uangalie kama ni mambo ya basic area, uangalie kwa economic activities. Ukiangalia hizo vingezo zote, initially zilikuwa vigezo kama 8, saa hizi wame squeeze zikakuwa 5, lakini sasa hapo katikati wakaweka kadi zingine ambazo fiche, kwa sababu haiwezi make sense wakati ambapo hizi kaunti zimetengeneza mpango wa vile zitafanya maendeleo kwa miaka 5 ijayo. Alafu sasa unapunguza na zaidi ya bilioni 1 kwa kaunti moja, ingine bilioni 2, mingi ni zaidi ya nusu bilioni. Kwa hivyo sasa sijui what informed that, na sijui vile vile stakeholders wenye walihusishwa na wakaongeleshwa ni akina nani, sababu sisi tunawakilisha wafanyikazi katika hizi ngatuzi zote, na sisi tulisikia kwa runinga na tukafikiria ni jambo nzuri, kwa sababu walisema wamepeg na population na 42%, lakini wakati tulipekua kwa undani tukakuta sasa wametoa population kutoka 66 mpaka 42. Kwa hivyo wamereduce. Kwa
hivyo wafanyakazi hamko na habari kwamba kuna mambo kama haya.
Kuna habari, tuliona tu kwa runinga tukiwa tunatulia katika hali yetu ya sherehe za Krismasi, na hatujui ililetwa kwa Krismasi ndio tusione ama ilikuwa vipi, lakini tumepekua tukakuta si sawa.
Mtazamaji na msikilizaji, kumbuka tangazo hili lilitolewa na mwenyekiti wa ama tume hii ya ugavi wa mapato Bi Mary Chebukati. Lakini rejea kwako Bi Hadija, tumegusia vigezo ambazo vimetumika mara hii tofauti labda na vigezo vya hapo awali. Maana hapo awali nafikiri kulikuwa kuna afya, kulikuwa na mambo ya kilimo na pia umaskini ulikuwepo kama sijakosea. Na vipo vigezo vipi ambavyo vimekuja sasa? Labda katika vigezo ni vipi ambavyo unaweza kukosoa kusema kwamba kwa hakika hiki si kigezo ambacho kina uzito cha kuangaziwa katika kuleta kupungua kwa mgao wa pesa katika baadhi ya kaunti?
Labda kabla sijaenda hapo, niruhusu tu nizungumze kidogo kuhusu mambo ya balance development. Kama tume ya ugavi wa mapato, jambo moja ambalo tunaangazia sana ni balance development katika regions zote za Kenya. Na unapata kwamba hii formula wakati tulirun the simulation ilituonyesha kwamba region ya Ukambani, all the Kamba counties zinapoteza. Kitui County inapoteza na 200 million, Makueni County inapoteza na 339 million, Machakos County inapoteza na almost 400 million, na hiyo ni kumaanisha kwamba region moja tayari hii formula imewadhulumu, wamepoteza. Kwa hivyo formula yote ambayo inadhulumu region yote, iwe ni wapi ama wapi, sio formula nzuri. Jambo la pili, hivi vigezo ambavyo tunatumia vinafaa kubalance, yani hii ina compensate hii. Na ukiangalia vigezo ambavyo tumetumia, unapata vigezo vitatu zina address the same thing. Hiki kigezo cha umaskini poverty, kigezo cha economic distance, kigezo cha land area kinaegemea region moja. Ndio maana unaona kwamba region moja imeweza kupokea zaidi. Na mimi wanatoa mfano, nasema kwamba ndio tunafaa kupatia counties ambazo zina umaskini fedha, lakini je, hizi counties ambazo viongozi wao wamefanya bidii kupunguza umaskini, tutaendelea kuwadhulumu tukiwaambia kwamba nyinyi kwa vile umaskini umepungua tutawanyang'anya pesa, ama tunafaa kuja na kigezo cha kubalance? Na umeuliza swali vizuri kwamba wakati tulifanya public participation, hilo swala lilisemwa sana kwamba zile counties ambazo tumeng'ang'ana kama viongozi tukapunguza umaskini, kuja na kigezo ambacho kitaweza kucompensate. Kwa mfano, kuna kitu inaitwa contribution to GCP ambazo hiyo ina compensate zile counties zinafaidika kwa poverty, na hizi county ambazo zimepunguza umaskini zinaweza kufaidika kwa hiyo GCP, ambapo dakika ya mwisho hiyo contribution to GCP ilitolewa. Na hiyo ni in fact hiyo ndio swala ambayo ilifanya kabisa nikasema sitakubaliana na hii formula kwa sababu imegemea upande mmoja. Kuna swala ambalo umeuliza kuhusu zile vigezo zilitumika kwa third formula na za saa hizi. Unaangalia vigezo ambavyo vilitumika katika third formula ziko function based, yani zinaangazia zile devolved functions za counties. Zinazungumzia kuhusu mambo ya ukulima, zinazungumzia kuhusu mambo ya health, zinazungumzia kuhusu mambo ya barabara, hivyo vitu vyote. Kwa hivyo hiyo na ukiangalia saa hizi functions nyingi zimekuwa devolved to counties. Kwa hivyo tunafaa kuongezea counties fedha, sio kupunguza, kwa sababu tayari wameongezewa more functions. Kwa hivyo the third formula ilikuwa function based na yani ilikuwa inagawa pesa kulingana na function, ambalo ni jambo nzuri sana, kwa sababu hiyo pia ina guide governors vile wataweza kutumia. As much as kama tume haturuhusiwi ku budget for counties because ziko independent, but hiyo formula ilikuwa ina guide governors kuweza kutumia hizo pesa vizuri na kuhakikisha kwamba kila function haitekelezwe ama haikui neglected, inaweza kutumika vizuri.
Bwana Nduna, ungependa kusema jambo kuhusiana na vigezo labda ambavyo vilitumika na kipi ambacho unahisi kwamba hakina uzito ambacho kinafaa kuzingatiwa katika formula ya sasa?
Ukiangalia saa hizi katika formula ya sasa, mambo ya umaskini wameweka 14%, ilikuwemo pia kwa ile ambayo ni awali. Vile vile kwa mambo ya basic share kulikuwa na 20% ambao vile vile ilikuwa. Lakini sasa mambo ya economic distance 13%. 13% haikukua, na vile vile land area haikukuwa 9, ilikuwa 8. Kwa hivyo unakuta ya kwamba hii formula ya awali ilikuwa detailed na ilikuwa inaweka ngatuzi katika check na control na kuhakikisha mgao unaenda mahali ambapo unafaa, kwa sababu unakuta ya kwamba idadi ya watu ilikuwa 18%. Kilimo ilikuwa ni 10%. Ukiangalia mambo ya afya ambayo ni muhimu sana na ni kingezo muhimu sana, ilikuwa 17%. Mambo ya barabara ilikuwa ni 8%. Mambo ya urban services katika miji yetu ilikuwa na 5%, na land area ilikuwa ni 8%. Kwa hivyo ilikuwa detailed vizuri na ilikuwa inaelekeza vizuri. Sasa unakuta hizi zote nimetaja hapo ambazo zinahusiana na mambo ya idadi ya watu zinafika 66%. Lakini sasa unakuta sasa imeunganishwa na ikapunguzwa ikakuwa 42%. Na ndio maana miji yote sasa itakuwa shida sana kwa utendakazi, kwa sababu miji yote ndio iko na idadi kubwa ya watu. Kwa hivyo unaona kama hii economic distance ni kingezo ambacho akieleweki haswa wakati unaongea mambo ya economic distance. Ni economic distance ya kutoka wapi mpaka wapi, na inataka kukiwa nini yenye ambao hizi zingine ambazo zilikuwa zimetajwa hapo, mambo ya kilimo, mambo ya afya, mambo ya urban services, mambo haya mengine ya vigezo zote ambazo zilikuwa hawali ambayo haikukuwa imerejelea. Kwa hivyo unakuta hapo ndio kunaingia sasa card feature, alafu unakuta sasa hii ni kutaka kugandamiza na kuwa ungatuzi, na essence ya katiba mpya ilikuwa ni kufika pale mashinani na kuhakikisha services zimefanyika kwa njia mwafaka, na hii haitasaidia.
Naam. Yeah. Lakini swali sasa itakuwa ni je, labda kwa ufupi tu, vipi tutahakikisha kwamba upo usawa katika kaunti zote 47 ijapo katika ugavi wa rasilimali na mapato?
Na mi pendekezo langu ni kwamba hii third formula imesaidia sana. Upungufu ambayo ilikuwa nayo ni kuangalia kwamba the smaller counties, the 6 smaller counties, that's Vihiga, Lamu, Taita Taveta, Isiolo and Samburu, Senate itumie affirmative action ambayo wamepewa mamlaka na katiba. Wanaweza introduce kitu inaitwa affirmative action kuhakikisha kwamba watumie the third formula, lakini waseme kwamba hizi yani county yoyote isipate less than 5 billion, kwa sababu saa hizi smaller counties unapata kama Lamu inapata 3 billion, unapata kama counties zingine zinapata kama Elgeyo Marakwet, Tharaka Nithi wanapata kama 4 billion. Kwa hivyo Senate introduce affirmative action kusema kwamba kusiwe na county yoyote ambayo inapata less than 5 billion. Naam.
Ningependa tusonge mbele kidogo kabla tupokee simu chache. Swali moja tu na tupokee simu upande wa pili wa studio. Na kuna jambo ambalo pia ulitaja kama kamishna, nafikiri pia umesikia, na kuelekea mwaka jana kukamilika, Rais Daktari William Ruto aliamuru kwamba yale majukumu ambayo yalikuwa katika serikali kuu ambayo yalikuwa yamesalia yanafaa kwenda kwenye county, majukumu ya county ambayo yalikuwa yamesalia yakapelekwe katika county. Ni sawa pia umesema kwamba kama yale majukumu yanakwenda kule na tunapunguza pesa kutakuwa tatizo, lakini pia liko swala la ubadhirifu wa pesa katika county zetu. Ndio majukumu yataongezwa, pesa pia ndio tunasema zisipunguzwe. Swala hili la ubadhirifu na kukosa kutumika vizuri kwa pesa katika kaunti zetu, labda ni swala ambalo linafaa kuangaziwa vipi? Mara nyingi utasikia kaunti nyingi pesa zinakwenda kulipa wafanyikazi. Labda tuanze nayo Bwana Ndunda kwa ufupi.
Kwa kweli ili jambo la mambo ya ubadilifu ya hela si jambo zuri, na ni jambo ambalo mhasibu mkuu anastahili kulifuatilia na kuhakikisha kule ambapo mambo yafanyiki vile inafaa, basi hatua za kisheria zinafuatwa. Jambo la pili kuhusu mambo ya wafanyikazi ni ya kwamba unakuta hela zifiki kwa ngatuzi kwa wakati unaofaa. Kama hivi tunavyoongea saa hizi, hela za mwisho zilitumwa tarehe 18 mwezi wa Novemba mwaka jana, na zilikuwa za mpaka mwezi wa 10. Kwa hivyo makaunti hazijapata hela za Novemba na Disemba, na ndipo hata kaunti mingi hata saizi tunapoongea over 95% ya counties za Kenya hazijaweza kulipa wafanyikazi kwa sababu pesa hazifiki kwa wakati ambao unafaa, zinafika kuchelewa. Na vile vile kama functions zimengatuliwa na zimeletwa huku kwa county kulingana kwa mujibu wa katiba, basi zinastahili kushuka pamoja na hela. Kwa sababu sasa unakuta sasa kama mambo ya afya, mambo ya kilimo, yao mambo yamengatuliwa na yakaletwa huku chini mashinani, lakini unakuta mgao, unakuta asilimia kubwa ya bajeti ya nchi, pesa bado zinabaki katika serikali kuu. Hivyo tunaomba wakati functions zinagatuliwa, basi zigatuliwe pamoja na hela, na vile vile wale ambao wanahusika, vile vitengo zinahusika na mambo ya ubadilifu, wafuatilie ndio pesa situmike katika ile hali ambayo inafaa, kwa sababu pia I make any economic sense wakati sasa functions karibu zote zimengatuliwa, zimeenda mashinani, alafu nakuta mungao bado at highest ile pendekezo ambao CRA wamependekeza ni 416, na ni pendekezo tu, ni kumaanisha linaweza punguzwa pale katika seneti. Kwa hivyo na unakuta tuko na budget ya about 3 trillion, alafu sasa unakuta tunaongelelea 416, bado tuko chini sana. Kwa hivyo hela zinastahili kuenda pamoja na functions kule katika gatuzi zetu 47.
Naam, Kamishna, kwa ufupi tu kabla tupokee simu chache, swala la ubadhirifu wa pesa katika county litashughulikiwa vipi?
Okay, asante. Katiba ya Kenya ilikuwa very clear na kuna taasisi tofauti ambazo zimepewa majukumu ya kuangazia kwamba kuna ubadhirifu wa fedha. Kwa hivyo ni taasisi ziache kuzembea, zifanye kazi yao. Kwa mfano kama CRA tumepewa mamlaka ya kufanya kitu ambacho inaitwa encourage fiscal responsibility. Encourage fiscal responsibility ni ile kwenda kusaidia county kuweka mikakati ambayo itawasaidia wasitumie fedha vibaya. Na kama tume kuna mambo ambayo tumefanya, kuna kitu ambayo tuna advise counties ku establish naitwa CBEF, County Budget and Economic Forum, ambayo ndio ngazi kati wa mwananchi wa chini na serikali ya county kusaidia kuangazia ile miradi mwananchi ametaka na vile inatekelezwa. Na kuna pia tume advise counties ku establish kitu inaitwa audit committees. Audit committees tunaenda mpaka tunawatrain kuangalia ile kazi ambayo wanafaa kufanya kusaidia county kuhakikisha kwamba books ziko in order, pesa zinatumika vizuri, ndio auditor general akikuja apate kama kazi inafanyika vizuri. Tuko na controller of budget ambaye kazi yake kikatiba ni kucontrol jinsi pesa zinatumika kwa county, na ndio maana nadhani umesikia kelele sana wakati anafanya kazi yake, county zinalia kwa sababu anawaambia kwamba ana control pesa vile zinatumika, na counties nyingi hazipendi hivyo. Alafu baada ya control of budget tuko na auditor general ambaye baada ya utumizi wa fedha anaweza kuenda kuangalia vile wametumia, na waambia kwamba hapa mjatumia vizuri hapo. Ikiwa auditor general ana ushahidi wa kutosha, anafaa kusubmit hiyo report kwa EACC so that EACC sasa iangalie ni nani ametumia pesa vibaya na waweze kufuatilia, wawafungulie mashtaka kwa DPP. Tunataka kuona watu kama kweli pesa zinatumika vibaya, tunataka kuona watu wakipelekwa kotini, watu wakikuwa charged. But as long as tunaendelea kuzungumza kwamba pesa zinatumika vibaya na tuoni watu wakipelekwa kotini, hilo ni swala ambalo litaendelea kusumbua. Jambo lingine umeuliza kwamba pesa nyingi zinatumika kwa mishahara na sio maendeleo. Tumeona katika vitengo vya habari tukielezwa kwamba county fulani haijaspend pesa kwa development, county fulani haijaspend pesa. Kuna jambo mimi kila wakati nikikutana na governors huwa nawaambia it is high time waanze kuzungumza kuhusu swala la development expenditure versus recurrent expenditure. Ukiangalia PFM Act vile imedefine development expenditure na recurrent expenditure, kuna umuhimu. Unajua hiyo ndio auditor general ama control of budget tu wanatumia kusema kwamba county hazijaspend pesa kwa development, ili hali swala si kwamba hawajaspend, swala ni vile development imekuwa defined katika PFM Act, na hilo ni swala ambalo sisi kama CRA tumesema kuna haja ya kufanya amendment kuredefine what is development and what is recurrent expenditure. Kwa mfano, unapata governors wana spend pesa maybe ya kununua equipments katika hospitali. Wakinunua equipments ambazo zinasaidia hospitali, inakuwa counted kama recurrent expenditure, and yet that is development. Unapata governors wakispend on training the health practitioners kama ni madaktari, manurses, walimu wa ECD, inakuwa recorded kama recurrent expenditure, and yet hiyo ni development. So nataka kuambia sisi kama CRA tumefanya kazi yetu, lakini pia governors, kwa sababu nyinyi ndio mnaumia, mnafaa kwanza kuzungumzia redefinition ya development expenditure na recurrent expenditure.
Naam, shukrani, umeeleza vizuri. Naona Bwana Ndunda hapo, kwa sababu tumegusa mishahara ya wafanyakazi wa county, anazidi anataka kuongeza, lakini tusikie kwanza mwananchi anasemaje. Upande wa pili wa studio, kama mtavalia hivi angalau tupate maswali machache, maswali kama 4. Msikilizaji, tafadhali piga simu yako, nenda direct kwenye swali lako kwa ufupi zaidi, ili kwamba tuweze kuelewana. Upande wa pili wa studio, Radio Taifa, halo. Naam.
Halo.
Naam, nakusikia. Pole, tunakupoteza. Hello Radio Taifa. Radio Taifa, halo.
Halo Radio Taifa.
Naam.
Halo.
Tunakusikia.
Halo Radio Taifa.
Tunakusikia ndugu yetu. Haya, punguza sauti ya redio iwapo ungependa tuelewane vizuri. Pokea simu nyingine. Naam.
Marhaba. Halo.
Karibu sana, tunakusikia ndugu yetu.
Habari nzuri.
Mzuri sana. Haya, tujaribu nyingine moja ama nduruhusiwe tuchukue simu upande wa pili. Hello.
Dora?
Yes, nakusikia ndugu yangu.
Sikusikia lakini wote niongee.
Naam, zungumza. Haya, naomba mwelekezi wangu aniruhusu tuchukue simu upande wa pili wa studio wa Rashid Mkondo. Twende Rashid.
Hello Radio Taifa.
Hello.
Yes sir.
Naongea na Joseph Sianda, niko hapa Mavuno.
Yes Joseph, swali lako?
Mavuno Mteketoni.
Yes, swali lako Joseph. Hello Radio Taifa.
Hello Dora.
Naam.
Naongea Joseph, nasalimia wageni wetu.
Tumesalimika.
Sasa ningependa kusema hivi, unakuta kama mgao ukipewa pesa za mgao wanaharibu, alafu saa yote wanasema ya kwamba impeachment ya gama na umetumia pesa za account vibaya. Jambo kama hili unachukua namna gani? Asante.
Right. Hello.
Hello Taifa.
Yes.
Habari asubuhi.
Mzuri sana.
Kwa majina mimi naitwa Alidoro kutoka Kiwoko ya Fundo Kitikamba Kadogo nyumbani.
Naam.
Hata mimi leo nilikuwa nazungumzia mheshimiwa. Hawa mawaziri ambao wanachukua hii pesa alafu baadaye hawashtakiwa, ama kishtakiwa mtu anatoka tayari. Mtu kama ile pesa ametoa vipi? Shukrani sana.
Okay. Hello Zinga.
Halo Rashidi.
Yes.
Habari boy.
Nzuri sana.
Network imetusumbua lakini ni masoko naongea, wacha niulize hao yani hivi. Mara mingi tunasikia pesa inakuja kwa county inapotea, wanasema ati wanafuatilia wana hiyo pesa inaenda wapi, hiyo tupate ripoti. Na kila wakati hiyo pesa tena inapotea. Mchukumo gani wamechukua kama hawa wale ambao wanasimamia, kwa sababu pesa nyingi inapotea, tuoni kazi inafanya kwa county, kila siku tunalia. Wanafuatilia namna gani hiyo pesa ndio irudishwe namna gani, kwa sababu ni Asante.
Hello Radio Taifa.
Hello Radio Taifa, hamjambo.
Jambo mengi.
Hello.
Swali lako?
Mimi nilikuwa naomba hivi.
Yes.
Swali langu, kwa nini kila kaunti wasipangie mshahara ya mwaka mzima kwa kila kaunti wafanyikazi hao? Kwa sababu wafanyikazi wanakosa pesa mshahara nini na nini, pesa ikiingia kwa national government tuwapangie one full year salary.
Okay, asante, tumenoti hilo. Hello Radio Taifa.
Taifa.
Yes.
Mkondo.
Yes.
Huyo ni Mboto Ibarara ikiwa Nakuru.
Yes, swali lako.
Swali langu nauliza hizi county ambao zinaenda kufaidika around 11 sijui 11 zinaenda kufaidika na mgao wa pesa. Unaweza zitaja tuone yenye unajua tukizijua tutajua kumbe walifanya hivi kwa sababu zinatoka pande fulani.
Asante.
Rashid,
simu moja ya mwisho. Hello, Radio Taifa.
Rashid Mwamkondo.
Yes.
Huyu ni artist manekeni kutoka Madaba Border.
Yes.
Kitu nilikuwa na ulizia kufuatana na hizi contracts huwa zinapeanwa. Huwa wanapeana contracts kwa njia gani? Kwa maana unaweza pata pengine MCA pia yeye ndiye anasimamia kujenga hiyo barabara. Mbona wasipatie watu wenye wana ujuzi wa kufanya hiyo kazi? Napata kama hapa county yetu hii, Busia County, sehemu zingine ziko duni sana. Mwenye anapeana hiyo contract, mbona afuatilia akaona hii kazi vile nilipeana, hao watu wamefanya hii kazi kwa njia gani?
Asante kwako Dora.
Shukran Rashid. Upande wa pili, msikilizaji na mtazamaji, tunazungumzia masuala ya ugavi wa pesa katika kaunti zetu, na lipo pendekezo la formula mpya ambayo inafaa kutumika ili kuhakikisha kwamba pesa zinakwenda katika kaunti, lakini pia pendekezo hilo linakisiwa kwamba inafaa kuangazia zile kaunti ambazo zina watu wengi zikapata pesa zaidi, lakini mjadala unaonekana kuwa tofauti kidogo. Masuala yamejitokeza mengi, lakini mengi ni pale pale tu kuhusiana na uwajibikaji wa pesa. Lakini hebu tuanze na swali hili ambalo ndio swala tunazungumzia kwa sasa. Baadhi ya zile kaunti, msikilizaji anataka kujua zile kaunti ambazo tunasema kwamba zitafaidi. Nilikuwa nimetaja kadhaa, labda ni vizuri nisikie kutoka kwenu pia. Mimi nilikuwa nimetaja Kajiado, Kericho, Samburu, Vihiga, kaunti zile ambazo zitafaidi. Na pia zile kaunti, wacha nizungumze nayo labda kaunti zipi zinafaidi, alafu commission utanisaidia kaunti ambazo zinapoteza. Chache tu.
Okay, baadhi ya kaunti ambazo zinafaidi katika huu mgao mpya kama utapitishwa ni kaunti kama kuna kaunti kama Garissa itafaidi. Vile kuna kaunti kama Wajir itafaidika. Alafu kuna zile zingine ambazo ulikuwa umetaja kama kaunti ya Kajiado na baadhi ya kaunti zingine ambazo ni chache. Jumla ya kaunti 16 tu ndio zinafaidika, lakini sasa zile zingine hazifaidiki.
Naam. Yeah. Asante. Baadhi ya kaunti ambazo zinapoteza, actually kaunti 31 zinafaa kwa zinapoteza. Taja tu chache ambazo zinapoteza, msikilizaji angependa kujua.
Mandera County inapoteza 2 billion. Kakamega County inapoteza 1.4 billion. Kilifi County inapoteza 1.2 billion. Kwale County inapoteza 1.2 billion. Narok County inapoteza 400 million. Nairobi County inapoteza 700 million. Mombasa County inapoteza 465. Kisumu County inapoteza 300 million. Kirinyaga, Nyeri, Nyandarua zinapoteza. Homa Bay, Kisumu, Kisii zinapoteza. Nakuru, Uasin Gishu, Nandi zinapoteza. Naam.
Na umezitaja kweli, unazo kweli. Takwimu zile uko nazo mpaka kiwango ambacho pia wanapoteza vizuri sana pale. Lakini nafikiri swala lingine ambalo limejitokeza sana, masuala ya ubadhirifu wa pesa ambalo umezungumzia kwa kina, na moja kataja kuhusiana mara nyingi kuzungumzia masuala ya ubadhirifu wa pesa kidogo, wale makaunti MCA wanakimbilia masuala ya kutaka kumbandua gavana. Sijui kwa sekunde 30 tu. Nani angependa kugusia hilo?
Swala la ubadhirifu nadhani ni zile taasisi ambazo zimepewa majukumu ya kikatiba zifanye kazi.
Na kuna mmoja aliuliza mbona mishahara isitolewe ya mwaka mzima, tujue kwamba kwa mfano kaunti ya Kakamega na wafanyikazi ulikuwa umesema wa kaunti ni 6,000 ndio watoe mshahara wa mwaka mzima wafanyikazi 6,000. Yawezekana?
Sikuelewa vizuri alikuwa anamaanisha vipi, lakini kimsingi ni kwamba katika bajeti za counties mshahara huwa ina bajetiwa ya mwaka yote. Ina bajetiwa yote, ni vile sasa lazima ufanye kazi ndio ulipo mwisho wa mwezi.
Labda nikiongeza kidogo kuhusu counties kupewa pesa ya mwaka mzima, hiyo inakuwa changamoto kidogo kwa sababu pesa huwa zinatoka National Treasury, na National Treasury ile ushuru. Najua watu wanafaa waelewe kwamba hizi pesa ambazo Kenya inatumia, iwe national government ama county government, ni ule ushuru ambao watu nalipa, na ushuru huwa sasa National Treasury huwa wapeleke kwa counties ama ndio waweze kugawa katika ministries. Kwa hivyo Kenya bado hatujafika mahali kwamba tuko na pesa za ziada ile tutaweza kupatia counties kwa mwaka mzima. Ndio maana unaona huwa wanapewa kidogo kidogo. National Treasury huwa wanangoja wakusanye ndio waweze kutuma kwenye counties. Hiyo ndio changamoto tuko nayo kwa sasa kama Kenya.
Naona muda umetukimbiza sana, lakini labda kwa ufupi tu, mko katika county na pia mnasimamia wafanyikazi. Swala zima la kupeana kwa kandarasi linafanyika vizuri katika county zetu ama kidogo ipo mianya ambayo inafaa kuzibwa?
Kulingana na tetezi ambazo watu wamekuwa wakiongea na pia huko mashinani ya kwamba kuna mianya ambayo inastahili kuzibwa, kwa sababu kama yule mmoja ambaye ameongea amesema kwamba amekuwa akiona MCA ndio wanasimamia hizo kandarasi, na of course wanastahili kufanya oversight, lakini tukusikumaanisha wafanye wenyewe. Kwa hivyo kuna mianya ambayo inastahili kuzibwa, kwa sababu hapo ndio pesa mingi zinaweza kupotelea kwa hizo mambo ya kandarasi.
Turejee katika swala hili, tunasubiri bunge la seneti kutekeleza wajibu wake kwa iwapo itaidhinisha formula hii. Nyote wawili hapa mmesema mngetamani sana bunge la seneti lisiweze kuidhinisha formula hii, na iwapo basi mamlaka ama bunge la seneti haitaweza kupitisha mfumo huu ambao unatajwa kwa sasa, labda kaunti bado zitapokea ufadhili kama njia inavyofaa kama kawaida, ama mwelekeo utakuwa ni upi?
Huwa hakuna gap. Ikiwa hawatapitisha watapendekeza wamekataa hii na wanapendekeza ipi, na kuna uwezekano mkubwa watapendekeza hii ambayo ipo saa hizi ndio itaendelea kutumika. Naam.
Kwa hivyo shughuli hazitaathirika, shughuli za kaunti zitaendelea kama kawaida.
Yote itaathirika, shughuli zitaendelea kama kawaida.
Bwana Ndunda, kama msimamizi wa wafanyikazi, kama katibu katika ule muungano, labda mnajiandaa vipi labda kushirikiana serikali za kaunti kuhakikisha kwamba mnalinda maslahi ya wafanyikazi, ikizingatiwa kwamba labda upo uwezekano pia labda bunge la seneti kapasisha hii na zipo kaunti zitapoteza, zipo kaunti ambazo zitafaidi. Ninyi kama wafanyikazi mnajiandaa vipi kwa hilo?
Okay, sisi kama wafanyikazi baada hii tangazo kufanywa ya mfumo mpya wa ugawaji, tumeengage consultants wenye ambao wanatutolea detailed analysis ya the impact ambayo inahusika kwa counties, na vile pia sisi tutaandikia seneti kama muungano wa wafanyikazi na mapendekezo yetu pia, kwa sababu kila jambo Kenya iko subjected to public participation, na sisi kama kingezo muhimu tutahakikisha kwamba tumetoa mapendekezo yetu, kwa sababu tungetaka hii mambo yafanyike bila mfurutano, bila kunyanyasa, bila kufinyilia. Kwa hivyo tutahakikisha kwamba tumepeleka mapendekezo yetu kwa Senate, na vile tuko na branches kwa kila counties. Kwa hivyo tutapata pia maoni kutoka kule mashinani, lakini already we have the statistics na tunaona mahali mwelekeo mambo inaenda, na tunafanya kazi pamoja na counties kuhakikisha kwamba wafanyikazi na pia majimbo hayapotezi, kwa sababu haina haja ya kupoteza.
Bi Hadija, pia pale tu utakuta kwamba tumezungumzia kwamba counties zitapoteza, zingine pia zitaweza kufaidi. Pia ninyi kama tume ya CRA mnaangalia vipi maslahi ya mfanyikazi? Ndio amezungumza kama pia mmoja wa viongozi, mnazingatia vipi na kusaidia maslahi ya wafanyikazi hao ambao huenda wakaathirika katika njia moja au nyingine katika maamuzi yote ambayo bunge la seneti litachukua? Japo umesema kwamba hata seneti ikikataa tutarejea katika ile formula ya kitambo, lakini bado wafanyikazi wapo wale ambao pia wanang'ang'ana kutokana tu na hali ambazo ziko katika county.
Ni vyema tufahamu kwamba kama tume huwa tunafanya allocation, hatufanyi budgeting for counties, kwa sababu tunaheshimu ile independence ya counties, ila huwa tuna advise counties pia na tunasaidia counties pia ku enhance their own source revenue, yale mapato katika county ambayo counties zimepewa mamlaka na katiba kuokota ushuru katika county zao. Na siku zote tumekuwa tukiwaeleza kwamba kando na hii equitable share, kuna pesa ambazo counties zinaweza kuokota pale kwenye county ambazo zitakuwa zinatumika wakati kuna delay ya exchequer, wako na on source revenue, wanalipa mishahara ya wafanyikazi, kwa sababu wafanyikazi wanahitaji kuwa motivated, na jambo la kwanza la kumotivate mfanyikazi ni kuhakikisha kwamba amepata mshahara wake kwa muda ambao unastahili. Kwa hivyo tumekuwa na mipangilio tofauti ambayo tunasaidia counties enhance their own source revenue, ambayo ni pesa ya ziada huwa inawasaidia kando na exchequer. Na ni muhimu tufahamu kwamba, na siku zote huwa naambia governors kwamba kabla ugatuzi, municipal councils hawakuwa wana depend on equitable share. Hakukuwa na equitable share, lakini municipal councils zilikuwa zina run na zilikuwa zinategemea mambo ya revenues ya zile pale kwa county. Kwa hivyo hata counties pia tunafaa to up our game kuhakikisha kwamba tunakusanya mapato ya kutosha katika county zetu kucushion wakati exchequer imedelay, tuwe na pesa ya kutosha kuweza kulipa wafanyikazi mishahara ya wafanyikazi isichelewe.
Naam, ningependa tumalizie kwa ufupi sote tu kwa swala hili la kijumla, kuangalia suluhu la muda mrefu kuhusiana na utendakazi wa county, wafanyikazi wa county. Ni vipi washikadau wote kwa pamoja watahakikisha kwamba ndio shughuli za maendeleo zinaendelea katika county, wafanyikazi wanapata mishahara yao, na pia mgao ambao unafaa kwenda katika serikali za county unatolewa mapema. Mojawapo ya vilio vya county, na nafikiri ulitaja hapo awali kwamba pesa za mwisho zilipokelewa mwezi gani?
Mwezi wa 11 tarehe 18.
Na ulikuwa pesa za mwezi gani?
Ulikuwa mgao wa mwezi wa mpaka wa 10 mpaka mwezi wa 10.
Kumaanisha bado kuna deni.
Bado kuna deni ya mwezi wa 11 na 12. Kwa hivyo wafanyikazi hawajapata hata mshahara.
Naam. Yeah. Kwa hivyo kwenda mbele, suluhu ni zipi kuhakikisha kwamba shughuli zinaendelea vizuri katika county zinapata mgao wao kwa muda ambao unafaa? Kwa nini mara si moja tunasikia kwamba mgao kutoka katika serikali kuu pia umeweza kuchelewa na mambo kama yale? Kwenda mbele kuhakikisha kwamba utendakazi wa county unaenda vizuri.
Ningependa wa Kenya wafahamu kwamba kuna institution ama kuna kitu inaitwa Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Council, IBEC, ambayo huwa inaleta hawa washikadau wote pamoja, na mwenyekiti wake ni Deputy President. Council of Governors wako pale, CRA wako pale, COB, Control of Budget wako pale, Auditor General yuko pale, ministries zote ambazo the national ministries ambazo zinazingatia masuala ya devolved functions huwa wako pale, na huwa tunakutana kila baada ya miezi minne kuweza kuzungumza masuala yote, kuchelewa kwa pesa kuenda kwa counties na changamoto zingine nyingi. Kwa hivyo ile kitu mimi naweza sema tu ni zile resolutions ambazo huwa zinawekwa pale IBEC zikuwe implemented, kwa sababu hiyo ni platform ambayo inapatia washikadau wote nafasi ya kuketi kuzungumza changamoto zao na kupendekeza solutions. Kwa hivyo zile resolutions ambazo huwa zinapitishwa pale zikuwe implemented, kila kitu itakuwa sawa.
Bwana Ndunda, sauti ya wafanyikazi, kwenda mbele, suluhu la kudumu ni lipi?
Tungelitaka watu wawajibike. Wale ambao wanastahili kupeana mgao kwa counties wapeane kwa wakati unaofaa na waipe kipaumbele. Si kukaa tu watu wanaumia, na hao watu ndio wanatenda kazi kule mashinani. Na unajua serikali inaonekana kama imefanya kazi kwa sababu ya wafanyikazi, na mfanyikazi ambaye ako na njaa ako na hasira na pia hawezi kufanya kazi. Mtu ambaye watoto wake hawajaenda shule kwa sababu hajalipwa, inakuwa ngumu kutenda kazi na kuzalisha vizuri. Kwa hivyo tunaomba kila taasisi itende kazi inavyo pasa, ndiposa kazi iweze kufanyika, wafanyikazi walipwe kwa wakati ambao unaofaa, ndio watu wasiende kazini wakiwa na stress, kwa sababu wanafungiwa manyumba, hawajalipa stima, watoto hawajaenda shule. Kwa hivyo sasa tunaomba hata sasa ule mgao ambao hujafika uachiliwa mara moja, ili wafanyikazi wapate kulipwa na wapate kufanya shughuli zao za kila siku. Vile vile kuna hii system mpya ambayo imekuja, iko na a lot of teething problems. Kuna watu ambao wamepotea katika system. Hii system mpya ambao ni ya kulipa mishahara. Kuna pesa ambazo mambo kama loans nakuta hazijakatwa kwa sababu ya 1/3 rule. Sasa wafanyikazi wako katika wamechanganyikiwa kabisa, kwa sababu sasa unafanya kazi, loan yako haijalipwa, unaambiwa kwa mshahara wako sasa wewe uende ukajilipie, the welfares, unions. Tunaomba serikali katika huu mfumo mpya, kwa sababu tuna support, waende pole pole, ifanyike sawa sawa seamlessly bila kufinyilia wafanyikazi. Kuna kilio kikubwa sana mashinani kwa sababu ya mfumo mpya.
Asante. Yeah. Umenipoteza kidogo mahali, lakini uliposema mna support kidogo ulikuwa umesema msupport, lakini iko sawa. Tumemaliza vizuri kwa sababu ya muda, tukomee pale. Labda tujadili siku nyingine mbinu ambazo counties zinafaa kutumia, labda kutafuta pesa zaidi wenyewe, kujitengezea pesa. Na kuna wale waliosema pia mfumo huu formula ambao mnakataa, one man one vote one shilling. Niyo hii formula mpya,
one man one vote one shilling, sio formula hiyo, ni parameter na ni parameter moja.
Asante. Tungependa kukomea pale, mtazamaji na msikilizaji, kwa sababu ya muda hatutaweza kuendelea kupita pale. Shukrani sana kuweza kufuatilia mjadala huu, na shukrani za dhati kwake Bi Hadija Juma ambaye ni commissioner katika mamlaka ya mgao wa mapato hapa nchini, upenda Commission on Revenue Allocation. Asante kuweza kufika. Na vile vile tunaye Dr. John Dunda ambaye naibu katibu mkuu wa muungano wa wafanyikazi katika serikali za kaunti. Asante kufika. Asante vile vile kwa producer wangu Dennis Chisaka, na vile vile bwana Onditi, Geoffrey Onditi. Asante waelekezi wangu Mato, vile vile Ben wapiga picha, na wote ambao wamefanikisha makala ya leo, wenzangu pande studio zote mbili. Tunashukuru kuweza kufanikisha makala ya leo, siku ya kwanza hii, ama production ya kwanza ya muungano kati ya Channel 1 na KBC Radio Taifa. Hadi wakati mwingine, mimi naitwa Dora Manya.
Mr. Sergeant, I knew you are not the one to say no to easy and quick money.
Me say no to easy and quick money? Really? Never.
I moved to a new house. Hey, OMG. And the balcony view. Hey, another OMG.
Butterfly. But in fact, get ready. We are going for swimming in a very few minutes.
Mtazamaji, tumekuandalia taarifa zinazogonga vichwa vya vyombo vya habari kutoka hapa jijini Nairobi na pia mashinani.
Wanahabari zaidi ya ubora wao wako ange kukuletea habari pindi zinapochipuka kutoka pembe zote za Kenya.
Kwenye kipindi cha Tamrini tunakuletea mazungumzo ya moja kwa moja kufafanua na kuangazia masuala yanayokuhusu wewe mtazamaji.
Kumbuka, taarifa yenye thamani daima hupokewa kwa amani.
Hivyo basi usikose kuungana nasi kila siku ya wiki.
Tukupakulie na tukutaarifu taarifa yenye mnato kwenye runinga unayoienzi. Kwenye kurunzi mashinani,
sisi DC.
Welcome back. This is Good Morning Kenya. Thank you for staying with us. My name is Vivian Degwa. Right about now, we are getting into a conversation that I had touched on or introduced earlier when we were beginning Good Morning Kenya today, and that is on empowering the boy child. And we are going to talk about it on the basis of empowering the boy child through transformative education. And joining us for this conversation is one Mr. Kennedy Mwangi. He is the CBC lead Merisho School. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Vivian, and all our viewers. Thank you very much.
Okay, it's a pleasure to have you on board. And I'm very interested and happy about this conversation whereby we're going to be talking about the boy child. More often than not, people say that the boy child have been forgotten. From where you sit, do you feel like we have forgotten about the boy child?
Yeah, from the statistics that we have in our country, it is true that the boys have been neglected in the society. Because if you look at our educational system, the way it is structured, the statistics shows that more girls are doing better than boys, even within the society.
In terms of performance in education?
In some region in this country, in terms of enrollment, boys are less than girls. Because most organizations have focused more on empowering the girls than empowering the boys. So it is true from my side that yes, the boys have been neglected in a way.
Yeah. How do we change this? You know, how do we change this narrative whereby now we focus on both genders and not just focus on the girl child alone and get to forget about the boy child?
We need to come up with policies that are holistic, that are not inclined towards one gender. Because if we empower the girls and we do not empower the boys, the society tends to be inverted, where you have more girls excelling and very few boys excelling. Such kind of a society is not a complete society. So I would talk more about policy development. We come up with proper policy guidelines on how we are going to empower both the boy child and the girl child. Our society will be complete. It will not be inverted like the way we are seeing it happen in our country today. So right now you feel like it's sort of inverted. Yeah, it is true. There's a lot of emphasis on the girls. That is true.
But who's supposed to take that responsibility? Because if you ask me, I'd say as much as yes, we are so loud about empowering the girl child, I feel like it's the women or ladies who are taking it upon themselves to empower the younger girls. You know, so maybe now it's upon the men of this country to also take it upon themselves, where we have organizations that are focusing on boys that is run by men as well.
The aspects of empowering the boy begin at a family level, then at the educational level, then at the career level. Because according to me, this has got to do with character formation. How did this boy grow since the day he was born? Have we failed as parents to bring our boys in an upright way? So I feel it is a collective responsibility. It is not one person's responsibility to ensure that the boys have been empowered. Even within the employment sector, we need to keep talking about the ability, that inherent ability that the boy is born with. There are careers where boys are doing better than girls, but with time, because of empowering the girls so much, the boys have been overtaken. I've seen more of girls enroll in engineering courses, which traditionally was a boy. These were boys' careers. So I think from a family perspective, from the educational perspective, and also in the world of working, we need to give the boys a chance to express themselves.
What would you say are some of the maybe specific barriers that the boy child may be facing today?
Educational disparities, which you have talked about, where you find that there are some regions in this country where the boys are not able to get the quality education like girls. Social challenges. Most of our boys, they are in prison. There are issues to deal with crime, issues to deal with drug abuse. You know, Vivian, you are supposed to know that very few boys will express themselves. They will not tell you how they are feeling. And that one, it becomes a barrier. You may not be able to understand. Again, if you look at economically, boys are not empowered. In some regions, especially the marginalized regions in our country, you find it is the boys who drop out of school to go and look for money to take care of the families. So I'm saying that the boy child is faced with myriads of problems. And as a country, we must sit down and address them from one perspective. There are so many challenges that these boys are facing.
Yeah, you know, you've mentioned something to do with boys not being able to express themselves as well, maybe as the ladies. And I'd say this starts from a very young age, maybe, because just from expressing yourself even emotionally, you know, you're taught that the boys are not supposed to cry, you know, even from a very young age. Akilia anaulizwa kwa nini unalia kama msichana, you know, so it's like they've been brought up in a way whereby they are not supposed to show emotions. And also, when you even look at statistics, when you look at statistics of when it comes to suicide levels, you find that more men commit suicide than ladies. And it is argued that it's because ladies know how to speak out. They'll have a problem that is itching them. They'll go speak to their fellow women. They talk about it, cry about it. But for the man, yani anabaki nayo kimwanaume, you know, as they put it. Like, how can we go about changing this? Because this is one of the things that may be ailing our men, you know, today in the society as well, because we don't allow men to show emotions. We don't allow men to just speak up. You know, whenever they have an issue, they're not allowed to speak. They're just supposed to find ways by themselves to just go about their business. How can we be able to just start transforming men in the sense that we allow them to be emotional beings, because we all are as well?
I'll talk from a psychological point of view and from the educational point of view.
Yeah.
Psychologically, girls develop faster. Their brains develop faster than boys. Such that you find that by the time that boy is reaching the age of 14 years, there are things a 14-year-old girl can do that a 14-year-old boy cannot do. It is the way the brain is wired. So to come up with solution to this, I would suggest from the educational perspective of view that we come up with serious mentorship program to help the boys understand what you call manhood and mancode. What is being a man? A man is somebody who is able to express himself, confidently, without fear. But unless as a school or as the educational sector, we come up with clear mentorship program of helping the boys to realize their identity, we may not be able to achieve much. So as a teacher, I would advise that the parents and the schools to ensure that they integrate mentorship programs in their schools. And mentorship is not all about guidance and counseling. It encompasses a lot of things. Let it be integrated, that these boys are able to understand themselves, they're able to understand the importance of expressing themselves, because it's out of expressing themselves that they can be helped. I've seen boys lose debates when they are put against girls. Why? Because they are shying away from expressing their ideas, and those ideas could be very brilliant ideas. Even our former president, Mike Kibaki, he was a soft-spoken man, but he had very brilliant ideas. And these ideas were built when he was in high school. So as an education sector, we need to come up with clear mentorship programs which should be integrated into our curriculum to help the boys realize themselves when they're young.
Maybe what other ways can we transform our education system to favor the boy child?
By introducing more subjects and learning areas that focuses on psychomotor skills. Remember, in as much as the boys are not able to express themselves, they have a higher energy drive than girls. So if you bring in subject that they like engineering courses, I want to say in educational sector, there are 3 domains of learning. There's the cognitive domain that involves knowledge, there's the psychomotor domain that involves physical activities, and there is also the affective domains which involve you expressing how you feel. It's more of attitude. So you find boys tend to shine more in the psychomotor skills. So I would wish, even as we come up with policies, we try to look at how do we make education more interesting for boys, more accommodating, because they could be shying away because what we have in our system is not they're not interested with it. So for instance, if you come up with the old system, we had carpentry, masonry, aspect of architecture and all that. The boys were really interested. And from a teacher point of view, boys like a competitive environment. If you don't provide a competitive environment for boys, they shy away. That's why you see most boys, they support football, because that competitive environment is what makes them to emerge and shine. So I'm saying that in our country, if we would come up with subjects, learning areas, programs that helps the boys to compete, they will emerge.
Okay, I hear you on that. And now, well, we've talked about the stereotypes, you know, whereby you're told a man is not supposed to cry and whatnot. You know, maybe how well can we address the harmful stereotypes that describe masculinity?
I would say that first, it is wrong to stereotype a child. The flowers that you see, very beautiful flowers, one day they were seeds. And they didn't look attractive, isn't it? Stereotyping makes the boys or her to calm down. They feel less motivated. It lowers their esteem. So what we need to do is to encourage a lot of mentorship, like I had said before, making the boys to realize that they can still survive in the world where females are. Make them understand that being stereotyped or being criticized, you can be criticized positively or negatively. Train them on emotional intelligence. Like where I come from in our school, part of the student life, we train them on etiquette, interpersonal skills, emotional intelligence. How do you overcome small challenges, you know, at a very young age? And I know all our teachers all over the country, they know the importance of training your child or training the boys on emotional intelligence so that they don't cry when they are told, you know, you look bad, I don't like your face. How do you overcome that? So these are issues that are coming in the 21st century where you find most boys, they seem to be so stressed. Again, we always emphasize that in our school setup, let there be an office in an isolated area that deals with issues to deal with low self-esteem. Because this could cause suicidal feelings the way you're saying. So as a teacher, I understand the importance of what you're saying, the issues of, you know, stereotyping, masculinity. You know, boys, you are not supposed to cry. And again, I would advise parents and educators, let's speak positive about boys. You can tell a boy something that kills his dream. And you can tell that boy something that will make him to be somebody in our country. So let us not speak, because there's power in the tongue. Whatever you profess can be true. Let us learn how to tell them positive things.
And you know, with that, I want to follow up with a question that is on mental wellness. You know, from what you were saying, it gravitates towards, you know, ensuring that you're bringing up a child or a boy child whose wellness, you know, mental wellness is also in check. So probably how would you advise, you know, parents, guardians, and even teachers, because most times teachers, you spend actually the most times with the young or the students rather. So how would you advise working towards bringing up, you know, not just men but children who are also good mentally, who have their mental wellness is in check?
First of all, we need to have mental illness awareness. You know, some of us could be suffering mentally and we do not know. That is why I said in schools there should be a teacher who is trained on guidance and counseling and ability to detect this trait very early. Late detection of this trait is the one now which graduates to, you see now our children are suffering because the symptoms were not detected very early. For schools that may not afford those services, they can outsource. You can have a consultancy. Like in our school, we work very closely with, we do a lot of consultation where we find that a case is a bit serious that cannot be handled by the teacher. When the teachers are being trained in universities and colleges, there is a whole course called a whole unit of psychology of teaching and learning and guidance and counseling, where they are taught how to identify some of these deviant behaviors in a child. But what I would advise the schools to do it is to hold programs where they're able to sensitize even non-teaching staff on how to identify that. For example, in our school, where the boys sleep, they sleep in an apartment. That apartment, they are dorm fathers. What is the role of those dorm fathers and the attendants? It is to ensure that they are able to monitor the character and the behavior of the children in those apartments. Also, for parents, you hold seminars with them, hold webinars, tell them how to identify these traits at home. Because you could be living with a child who is mentally disturbed and you do not know.
You have no idea.
Yeah, it is good also for schools. Let's create awareness to the parent. Call them and then you tell them when you detect this kind of behavior, this is what it means. Most of our parents are not aware. Very few are aware. For instance, when you go home and you find that your son's sleeping room, that where he sleeps, it's disorganized, don't be very quick to call the house girl. Find out what was this boy doing. You know? Yeah, that is what I'm saying. Awareness. Empower the parent to detect this behavior very early, before now they graduate into that level. Have a setup, have a meeting, hold webinars and all that. It works. Especially in our school, we normally have a lot of parent-teachers conference. Trying to explain to this parent, how do I feel about your child? I like about CBC because it has an assessment tool called observation schedule.
Okay.
Where you're able
Tell us about it.
An observation schedule is an assessment tool where you're able to record what you have seen in a child. There's also another one called accidental.
Okay.
This one you record a unique thing that you have seen that child has done. So this kind of assessment tool in CBC, they will now help you to know, do I have a child who is mentally disturbed in class? Do I have a talented and gifted child in my class? And that's one thing that makes me to be a CBC ambassador. And I feel good when I talk about CBC because it has unique things that were not in the 844 system.
Yeah, because the one that you've just mentioned to me is very unique because we never had that in school. Whereby there's that assessment where like the teacher can, like it's something that is there that whereby, is this assigned to a particular teacher or it's for all teachers? Okay, this is new to me. So
what you have is that we need to sensitize parents on CBC.
Okay.
There is something called learner's profile. Where they rate and they express how they feel about what you taught. You see, this applies in the real world. What you call authentic, real world. So if a child is able to write how he feels about that lesson, these are skills which can be transferred home. Where they can be able to write on a diary and tell you, Mom, I think I didn't like the food that you cooked today. And you change. That way, they will be mentally okay.
Yeah.
I think I didn't like that destination that we visited. But you don't give them a chance because you're not empowered.
That's true.
So I would wish let the parents and the teachers work closely, especially the teachers. Let them tell the parent the truth about their son. Sometimes teachers shy away from telling parents the truth because they don't know how the parent will receive
take it. Yeah.
any feedback, positive or negative. Receive it well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Interesting. That's a good, perspective. At least we're getting to learn more about CBC and how, how the education system looks right now. Now, when we look at, when it comes to the life we're living in right now, we're big on technology, we're big on social media. So I'm sure that it is way different from back in the days. I can only imagine how now you get to deal with the students you have in school right now, because almost all of them have gadgets. Yes, they have gadgets. They know so much. So how different are you dealing with the crop of students that you have right now compared to how it used to be back in the days?
Allow me to say this. We don't only have 21st century students. We also have 21st century parents. And the expectation is different. Right now, when you are looking for a good school for your child, you want to take your child to a school that is has emphasized so much on ICT and digital literacy. Digital literacy is one of the key competencies in CBC. Why the government felt that ICT is not bad, it's because it opens that child's mind to the world. You just need to do an awareness campaign on how best you can use those gadgets. For instance, in our school, we have a teacher who is in charge of ICT. And he will always come and give the boys a talk about the dangers of misusing internet, particularly. We have no problem having gadgets in our school, but we have other security features that we are putting in those gadgets to ensure that our sons don't access those sites that are bad. And again, every time we have refresher courses for teachers, where a teacher can be able to detect which are these harmful sites that these boys are not supposed to be. You cannot limit the current generation from using gadgets.
Sure.
One challenge that we have is that these boys, some of them are addicted to internet and those gadgets. What you try to do is to come up with a timetable that is flexible, but at the same time, it allows them to use it. Because if you allow them to be just free, they'll be wasting too much of their time in those gadgets. Again, advise them, give them work, refer them. Don't just allow them to go there. Because for our case, we use a lot of gadgets when it comes to teaching, a lot of research. Yeah, it's the same gadget that they use for entertainment. But how do you entertain yourself? And it goes to where we started, character formation. In our school, we don't have class teachers. We have class managers. And this is something I would like to share with the whole nation. Moving from the aspect of calling yourself a teacher to the aspect of calling yourself a class manager, you're managing even the social life of this child. How do they feel? As a teacher, you should keep on refreshing yourself. That is why if you look at what the government is doing now, it's doing a lot of retooling for teachers. Retooling is retraining. Because they are being faced with these Gen Alphas and Gen Zs who knows too much. So you need to keep on improving on your teaching methods so that you make even learning more interesting. Because if learning is not interesting, now they tend to run away from the harmful side of the gadget. But if learning is interesting, you have properly integrated that ICT, it comes out very well. And this is what I would wish to advise the whole nation. Even as we roll out these brilliant ideas to our schools, let us have properly trained staff who can be able to handle those gadgets. I know we, of course, we talk about firewall, that will limit VPNs, that limits these boys from accessing those harmful sites. And having an ICT trained teacher, it's very important.
Okay, how do we get to promote healthier gender roles in general?
What do you mean by healthier gender roles?
Just healthier gender roles whereby we don't get to a point where it's like a gender war between the males and the females.
This one, we also see it even in our political arena. I would say from an educational point of view, let us give both gender equal opportunities. Equal opportunities. These divisive things that you are seeing is just a creation of the mind. If you go at home, you don't find sisters fighting with brothers. But when we come to the world of work, you find people saying girls cannot do this, boys cannot do this. I would wish to say that let each and every child be given equal opportunity, even at conception level. The chance of getting a baby girl or a baby boy, it's 50-50.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let us borrow from nature. Let us, each and every person, be given equal opportunity based on competencies and skills. Like if you come to our school, we don't have specific roles for ladies and specific roles for males. No. A teacher is a teacher. That is why we have mentors who are ladies, mentoring boys. Because if you say it's only a man who can make a man, what about the mother who gave birth to the boy?
That's true.
That's where we are losing it. Perception. It is in the mind. Once you give equal opportunity, it will help us solve that problem.
Okay. You had touched on emotional intelligence, and I want to get back on that a bit, and, just how can we be able to tailor-make education content that promotes, more empathy, that promotes, the emotional intelligence and everything surrounding that?
You see me drumming a lot of support for CBC. Because the problems that you are asking, what the CBC is coming to solve.
To solve, okay.
There's something called critical thinking and problem solving, where you give these children tough tasks, which they're supposed to overcome on their own. The issue of emotional intelligence cannot come when you keep on sympathizing with them. You have to put them in an environment where they have to fight for their right. In our school where I come from, we train them on resilience and autonomous living. I know when I speak like that, I need to expound more.
Yeah.
Resilience means that you train this child how to survive in a difficult situation. Because one day they will find themselves working in a completely different environment from where they grew up. For instance, me, I grew up in the village. I work in town. I come to town, I find new challenges. If somebody growing up in urban area, you take them to the rural area, they tell you they want to come back to town. Resilience. Autonomous living is living away from your family setting. For instance, we take you out of the country. How well have we prepared these boys for that?
Yeah.
So that is what I'm saying. If we focus on those two things, these children will grow very well.
Yeah.
And as you look at the two, combined with interpersonal skills, how do you relate with people from different cultures? And that is where now I'm coming from. Mentorship. Mentorship will involve resilience, interpersonal skills, autonomous living, etiquette, table manners, these kind of things. We need to train our child from an early stage and impact some of these skills in them. Yeah? In a very soft way. There's a policy which we call be firm, fair, and friendly. I know you'll ask me what that one means.
Yeah.
As a teacher, be a firm teacher. Yeah? Stand on your ground and follow the guideline. Be fair. Yeah? You know, you classify what is punishable and what is not punishable. Friendly. Approach each and every issue in a humane manner. Yeah, don't subject these children to too much torture, thinking, you know, the traditional way when we went to school, we used to see a teacher and then you run away.
Yeah.
That is now gone.
Yeah.
We have a different Gen Alphas, Gen Z, who will tell you they know their human rights. You know, we know our rights. What are you telling us? Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, now, you know, you've talked about that, you know, the firmness, friendly, and...
Yes, there are 3 Fs. Be firm, fair, and friendly.
Firm, fair, and friendly. And this has brought me to the question on, you know, the way you get to punish, you know, students right now. You know, they've said you do away with the road. You know, though the Bible says spare the rod and spoil the child.
That is the biblical account.
Yeah, but they said you do away with the road right now.
Yeah.
So how do you go about, you know, disciplining these young people that you've called, you know, the Gen Alphas and the Gen Zs, who seem to not even seem, they know their rights, and they know, you know, you can't just come around and start punishing me over, you know. So how do you go about that?
Okay.
And maybe is sparing the road
the solution?
Bringing, the solution, and does it bring more harm or good?
I can tell you this, Vivian. In the world of learning, you don't need a cane. You need only an understanding mind and the person to be taught and the one to teach. There's a difference between teaching and learning. Teaching is impacting. Learning is acquiring. You see, if the process has to be complete, therefore, you must set deadlines and you must set guidelines, which should have consequences. Corporal punishment is outlawed, not only here in Kenya, in most parts of the world.
Yeah.
Why? Because it does not reinforce good behavior. It reinforces bad behavior. So what we have done, or what we normally do in our setup, is that we come up with a discipline manual that is in every child signs when they are coming to school, and the parent will sign, saying that if I commit this mistake, this is what will happen. Mostly we give them outdoor activities. We also give them time out. I know you, in education world, there are terms which use like time out. We also do a lot of detention. When you detain them, you give them more tasks to do. That way, you withdraw privileges. Like for instance, if today is a day of entertainment, you make sure that you go for entertainment for 1 hour, and the second hour you come there. You do those tasks. Then we also do a lot of guidance. Once you punish a boy, you refer them to the next step, which is the guidance and counseling, so that they can be integrated back to where they came from. Avoid methods of punishment that physically harms the child. That child could be the next president. If you injure the hand or if you injure the eye, we'll have a president who is mono-eyed, which is not good. Again, the law is very clear. How do you punish and when do you punish? We don't punish in masses. We say you reward in public, but you punish in private. Yeah? Before you punish a particular student, it is good to explain clearly why that punishment is supposed to be administered and how it's going to be corrected, and why it cannot be punished like the other. That is why the discipline manual is very important. If a case warrants parental involvement, we call them. And we tell them that your son signed against this, and this is what we have. I would wish this one to be replicated in all schools in Kenya, where a child understands why he's being punished, so that even as we correct behavior, we correct it in a humane manner. Yeah?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Very well answered right there. Okay, now...
I see you'd ask me that question about punishment.
Yeah.
Let's not view our teachers as being too cruel. They are very friendly in most schools. I've gone to very many schools in Kenya, and I've seen they have really improved. And these guidelines, I've told you, they keep on being reviewed based on the challenges that we are facing. Yeah.
Okay. From when we started our conversation, one thing that you're really big on is mentorship. That has come out very clearly, that mentorship should be key in also bringing up, boys who are, boys who are well empowered, who are empowered, to take on the world. Now, when we talk about mentorship, do you feel like we have enough willing mentors in the country? And also, when it comes to picking mentors, probably from someone who's watching and is a young man and would love to, get into mentorship and get someone that they can be mentored by. So how do you go about picking a mentor?
A mentor.
Yeah.
As when we started, I told you that when we are being trained to be teachers, there are two important units called psychology of teaching and learning and guidance and counseling. The learning that you see taking place, it's governed or it is directed by laws and theories. Part of mentorship is directed by what you call social learning theory by Albert Badura, which states that students learn by observing their adults doing. For instance, if I'm picking a mentor, that mentor must be a role model. There must have been something I've observed in that mentor for me to say that you qualify to be a mentor. The other one is passion. If you don't have passion, you cannot mentor. And then the experience and the willingness. If you look at our education sector, we have very many young people who have not been given these opportunities. You find that you go to a school, most departments, they are dominated by the old guards. I would wish that when we are selecting some of these mentors, we don't look at the age. We look at the experience, passion. And can you be able to model that behavior? For instance, there is what we call the TSC Code of Conduct and ethics in teaching and learning. A boy would wish to look like me, but he is fearing me because there could be a character I have that is not attractive. So when you're looking at these mentors, you look at some of those strengths, and you also look at their weaknesses, and you strike a balance. Yeah? And then, for instance, in our school, we give them opportunities to suggest, would you like to be mentored by teacher so-and-so? So that openness is important for our children. Don't force a mentor to them. Let it come from them. And again, you come up with programs, topics which needs to be discussed during mentorship. Yeah? And when this happens mostly in our school during the weekends, you select an area, private area, so that the boy feel free to talk to you. And when a boy identifies you as a mentor, you must stick to that role that he has seen. Yeah? If it is, there are people who just like teachers because they are smart. Others tells you that I would like to have these skills of speaking in public like Madam so-and-so. So when that kind of character is identified, I will direct that way. So our mentors are all trained. We give them refresher courses because they're emerging issues. In CBC, there's something we call pertinent and contemporary issues. I think we'll have another day we will come here and talk more about CBC.
Okay.
And that's why you're seeing me drum a lot of support for it, because it's addressing what was traditionally there, where you would find a child does not understand even whether there is soil erosion, there is, the issues of terrorism, the issues of ozone layer depleting. So the contemporary and pertinent issues are being addressed in CBC. And that is where you as a mentor, you must understand. What are these issues that have come up which were not there in the old system? What is facing the current generation? The issue of artificial intelligence, the AI, the internet, very young parents.
Yeah.
Sometimes we may even say that we have mentorship for parents and also mentorship
for the students.
Yeah, so that we understand, could this problem be from the parents? So, yeah, that's what you're looking at.
Okay, we need to wind up on this. So as we wind up, I will just allow you to give us your final remarks on this and just, your final word on us empowering the boy child and how well we can go about that.
I, being a senior boy child and having grown in Kenya and being a patriot, I'd wish that all the parents and all our educational institutions to view boys in a different way. Let us harness that strength that they have. Let us not direct it to the wrong place. A lot of boys are being frustrated because of lack of opportunities. I would also advise the church and the mosque and all the religious institutions to come up with good programs that can be shared in schools so that these boys or these young people grow spiritually, morally upright. And as teachers, let the government motivate the teachers. Because a satisfied teacher is equivalent to a satisfied student. You cannot have a frustrated teacher teaching a motivated student. We must look into that, and that's why I also say I advocate for the rights of the teachers. Let them have good teaching environment, let their welfare be catered for, and we'll produce a healthy generation. Or what do you think?
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us and shedding light on this conversation. It is a conversation that should be had over and over and over again. Thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
That was Mr. Kennedy Mwangi. He is the CBC lead Merisho School, and our conversation was on empowering the boy child. I'm sure that you have been able to take a thing or two from this discussion. This is where we end Good Morning Kenya for today. I have been your host, Vivian Degwa. We do this again tomorrow, same time and place. God willing, do enjoy the rest of your viewing. Goodbye.
Una hakika ni mume wangu huyo? Si karibu amemtaja. Na alikuwa katika mazingira gani akimtaja?
Wewe kutokusoma kumekukosea sana. Haya, huu upuuzi umefundishwa na nani?
Ni kuhusu mimba ya Karembo.
Ni nani? Hebu toka nje.
Nipeleke kwa kina Karembo. Karembo nani? Utanipeleka ama? Basi ngoja. Sina muda Nuru. Kama wanipeleka nipeleke. Kama uwezi niambie uwezi.
Today, we're talking about cyber grooming,
a topic which could be traumatising for some people. It's a growing problem at the moment, with teenagers and kids increasingly being sexually harassed online. And virtual worlds are unfortunately giving groomers an ideal hunting ground. So what can be done against cyber grooming? It's a heavy topic, but an important one today on Shift. This is the dark side of the internet. Predators, mostly men, are jumping online to build trusting relationships with minors. Their aim? To groom their victims for sexual relations. 84% of these victims are girls. Children as young as 10 years old are being approached. And the cyber groomers are well versed in the art of exploitation. It's nothing new, of course, but now they're using virtual worlds, which are extremely popular with kids. It's a perfect place for groomers to act anonymously.
A horrible thought. Children in virtual strip clubs partaking in simulated sexual intercourse with adults. This happened in the popular app VRChat. Incidents like these are why some have already called the metaverse a paradise for perverts and a breeding ground for sex offenders. A British child protection charity, the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children, has called some VR apps dangerous by design. Virtual reality allows us to dive into a make-believe digital world. But the same thing that makes it so exciting can also make it dangerous, harmful, and traumatic for children.
When we talk about sexual exploitation in the metaverse, what we have to understand is that we are fully immersed, fully present, and fully embodied in the digital environment. It is no longer a video game that we're observing. When someone asks you to participate in something sexually inappropriate within the metaverse, there are serious psychological and physiological implications that we cannot underestimate.
Research has shown that children experience VR differently from adults. As their brain is still developing, they can't always tell the difference between virtual worlds and real life. Researchers say that children could even form memories based on virtual experiences.
As Professor Steinecker from the University of Hamburg explains.
How real this type of experience can be depends on the technology being used and the way things are depicted in the virtual world. We call this sense of presence. The higher the sense of presence, the more I believe that what I see seems real, that the places and experiences are actually there. This is also true when you experience very beautiful moments, but of course, it can also make you very nervous or lead to anxiety or fear.
And to make matters even worse, most of these VR worlds don't even use stringent age checks, which could at least provide an extra layer of protection.
What we need to understand is that the current system in which the technology is being developed does not prioritize the needs of the child, and that leaves our children vulnerable to harms and to predators and to exploitation.
As long as these VR platforms fail to find solutions and don't take this problem seriously, children will remain at risk. Roblox has made headlines in the past. It boasts 58 million users per day, and around a quarter of those are younger than 13 years old. Until recently, groomers were able to create virtual sex games on Roblox and draw in their online victims with the promise of cash.
On Roblox, children were repeatedly lured into so-called condos, private areas of the platform developed by groomers and pedophiles, where virtual sex games are also possible. What happens there is described by the US NGO Common Sense Media in a report.
Minors offer virtual dances and sexual acts as well as nude photographs off-platform to adults in exchange for Robux, which can be converted into real money.
So-called self-generated sexual content by children has skyrocketed in recent years. It now accounts for almost 72% of all sexual abuse content online. That's a 28% increase in 2021. The images and videos mainly involve girls aged 11 to 13. Overall, a global study from 2021 found that 34% of children have been asked to do something sexually explicit online. Recently, Roblox has made efforts to combat cyber grooming in their games.
Roblox isn't the only platform struggling to get a hold of the cyber grooming problem. It's clear that they all need to up their game.
In many VR apps, users can block abusive players. Any grooming abuse should be reported to the platforms, who in turn can suspend the groomer's account. Currently, however, offenders can easily return with a new one.
Is actually looking at what procedures and protocols have we put into place to ensure that whoever they say they are is actually who they are, so that we can't have a 50-year-old pretending to be a 15-year-old in the metaverse. That's actually quite simple to do and not a huge technological challenge for us. It just hasn't been done because of fear of innovation and fear of commercialization.
One of the biggest challenges is that many companies at the forefront of metaverse development have a track record of facilitating harmful practices online, like Meta, formerly known as Facebook and Instagram. Having said that, Meta has just announced to offer new protective measures for their Quest VR headset. Parents will now be able to deny purchases, block apps, view screen time, and see who the child has added as a friend. More and more companies pledge to make child safety a priority. Epic Games, publisher of popular online games Fortnite and Lego, have announced a new cooperation at a cost of $2 billion. They want to make a commitment to child safety. However, it is still unclear whether this will become a separate metaverse project just for children.
Of course, cyber grooming isn't just restricted to the metaverse. Groomers have even used seemingly harmless playlists on Spotify to try and lure in victims. They invite kids to playlists, and then, using the description field, they ask kids to post nudes in the playlist profile picture. This stuff is happening where you'd least expect it. The authorities can't keep up, but they are trying to fight the issue with the help of artificial intelligence. The language of the perpetrators is an important key here.
At Swansea University in Wales, linguistics professor Nuria Lorenzo-Duce and her team are developing the Dragon Spotter, a software meant to spot online cyber grooming.
So groomers will be using language and other semiotic means, sort of images, videos, but also, sort of emojis and so on, to try and persuade, manipulate a child to engage in some activity, sexual activity online and also offline. And I thought we should really be able to apply techniques from language and communication, that kind of research, to try and identify what those strategies, what those tactics were to manipulate children online.
The software consists of a machine learning algorithm and a large amount of grooming chat protocols. The linguists detect communication patterns used by groomers to manipulate their victims. The algorithm is trained to detect patterns like empathetic language, explicitly requesting sex, as well as ambiguous insinuations.
Precisely the same word can mean many different things depending on how it is used, in the context in which it is used, and so on. So there has been very much detailed annotation by humans of, within the team that I lead for this project.
Dragon Spotter has already been successfully tested by British and Australian police. For reasons of confidentiality, Duce can't go into more detail.
The detection technology that we are developing is only, its intended user is law enforcement rather than anybody else. And it's not meant to be a decision maker, but it's meant to support and inform better decision making by the experts.
The project is also trying to help